Chess.com Global Championship with $1 million in prize money kicks off today. So let's quickly check in about all the rules and regulations of this event. 64 players are seeded into 8 groups, 32 of which are invited by Chess.com and 32 qualified from the CGC planes. We have plenty of superstars like Hikaru, Duda, So, Fabiano, Nepo, Giri, Ding, Aronier, and Indian superstars like Anand, Arjun Agassi, Vidit Gujarati, Ronak Sadhwani, Nihal Sarin, and Mitra Goa. This field includes 5 World Chess Champions, 6 World Chess Championship challengers, and also 5 former FIDE World Champions, including the current reigning FIDE World Rapid Champion, that is noted by Abdul Sadarov from Uzbekistan. So the format overall, guys, many questions about this. It's a single elimination knockout. Time control is 15 minutes plus 2 seconds increment per move. It's a 4-game mini match. So if you reach 2.5 first, wins and advances to the next stage. In case of a 2-2 tie, we have an Armageddon with bidding tie breaks that we'll see later on. The prize fund, the most amazing part of this tournament, where we have 200,000 for first place and a combined prize fund of $1 million. If you can see the 34 to 64 place, that is what is round 1 prize money. It's a knockout tournament, so only one person advances in every match. It's $5,000, so that's equivalent to 4 lakh rupees. Even the losing player is going to get 4 lakh rupees in this event, and the winner takes home 1.6 crore rupees. That's something very amazing, and we hope many Indians qualify to the top, especially to the top 8, because this top 8 will be happening over the board, like on site in Toronto. They'll be facing each other, and that's going to be amazing, whereas the other part is going to be happening online. So last year, about the Armageddon quickly, the players, if it's a 2-2 score, the players bid on the time. The lower bid plays with black. Black starts with the time bid that he or she had written, and if the game is drawn, black wins. That means, like in all Armageddons, black has the draw odds. So this is a few rules and more information about the Chess.com Global Championship, and we wish all the Indians the very best in this tournament.
Namaste everyone, welcome to chess.com India and welcome to our coverage of the chess.com Global Championship round 1. Today we have Nihal Sarin taking on Rauf Mamedov, and with us is expert commentator and Nihal's coach Grandmaster Srinath Narayanan as my co-host. So let's talk to Srinath about what are his views on today's match.
It's going to be a very exciting format, Soumya. 15 plus 2. It's almost as if they want to remove the increment, but if they completely remove the increment, we know what's going to happen. And they also have several players from the previous generation. So the 2-second increment, it's a very different ball game from 15 plus 10, because 10 seconds gives you a lot of time when you're down to seconds. But here, when someone goes down below a minute, it's going to be very hard to play with that increment. And I think in a lot of these matchups, Nihal starts as a bit of a favorite. And this match is also not an exception. Rauf, incredibly strong, a former 2700. He's been a second of some very strong players, some of the top players in the world. And he's pretty good at playing speeches himself, playing fast, the blitz formats, the rapid formats. They have had quite a few clashes between them as well. They played most recently in the Olympiad in classical chess, which ended in a draw. Although Rauf was clearly better in that game, he was having a massive advantage with the white pieces. Aside from that, Nihal has had a few wins, but also Rauf has had a few wins. So it's 1-1 in the blitz matchups between them. Actually, 1.5, 1.5. And in the classical chess, Nihal has had 1 win in 2020. So slightly ahead there in the head-to-head as well.
Yeah, so upper hand for Nihal there, and actually Gabbar Singh in the chat asks for some context on Rauf Mamedov. So here we have it from Srinath. And yeah, as rightly pointed out, the prize money is massive in this tournament. Also, we have some really big names. in a field of 64 players, we have six Indians playing. That's already close to 10%. And we have a legend like Grandmaster Vishwanathan Anand playing in this tournament. We have Ivanchuk playing. So we have Topalov playing. So we have a lot of legends, and we have six very amazing Indians today in Nihal's match. I'm really excited to see how this championship pans out and who goes home with the top prize.
Absolutely. Nihal starting out with Rauf Mamedov, and their group is such that Soumya, if Nihal wins this match, if he happens to win this, and if Kramnik also wins his match against Melkumian, we could potentially see a matchup between Nihal against Kramnik. So this is a tree. We have Ding Lijian leading the group, of course, and he will play. If he wins this, he will play the winner of the matchup between Esipenko and Dr. Amin Basan. And in the matchup between Kramnik and Melkumian, whoever wins that will advance to play against the winner of today's match between Nihal against Mamedov. This is the group that they are in right now. Just about 2 minutes to go for the kickoff. And what are your thoughts, Soumya? How much of a chance do you think Nihal has in today's matchup?
Yeah, I also feel that Nihal is the favorite, and especially, as you mentioned, 15 plus 2 is quite different from 15 plus 10. So definitely rooting for Nihal all the way. But for sure, as you also mentioned, that Rauf is a very strong player in general, and also he's played a lot of online blitz, and he has a very good online blitz experience as well. He's also won some tournaments, if I remember correctly. So yeah, I think it's a really good matchup, and I also like the match format that you get to play 4 games, and even the Armageddon format is quite interesting. If we get there, we'll announce about that as well. So
Yeah, the Armageddon format is quite exciting. There we have it. It's a single elimination knockout of time control of 15 plus 2 and a 4 game match. So the first to 2.5 wins. And the most interesting part, Armageddon with bidding tie breaks. What are your views on that?
yeah, I think Nihal is going to win the bid at least. He's going to bid for maybe less than 2 minutes and just blitz it out. Yeah.
Yeah, but can you explain how the format is? What is the process and what?
So actually, the format, as I've been told, is that it's going to be a secret bid. So each of the players get to bid for a particular time with black. So white definitely plays with 15 minutes flat out, while black gets to choose. And obviously, black has the draw odds in Armageddon. So both the players get to bid for a specific time. Uh, let's say one player bids for 8 minutes and the other player bids for 7.59, then the player with 7.59 will win the bid and he'll get to play black, and he gets the draw odds as well.
Very interesting. And do we know how they decide who will be white, who will be black? Is it just completely based on the bid?
Yeah, it's completely based on the bid. So actually they get a chance to choose. It's not purely on chance, but it also depends on their skill. Yeah, some players are just faster, so they can choose to play with lesser time and play with draw odds. I think that's very interesting. I like this format actually.
Interesting. So if I'm someone who's very confident of winning with the white pieces and I don't care, maybe I'll just bid with 15 minutes. So I'm going to get white regardless of what I bid.
Then you can even choose to. Yeah, that's actually true. What if both the players want to play white? Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
exactly,
interesting.
and that could be that. So in that, what happens if both of them have the same bid? Let's say I put 15, my opponent puts 15. Then do we know what happens?
I have no idea. I guess they toss because then you have to, at some point, you have to depend on chance.
Right.
Yeah, I think we are waiting for the games to begin. Maybe Yeah, a little bit about the format. So from today till the 17th, we cover round one of Indian matches, player matches of the Indian players, and I think from 22nd September onwards, the round two begins. So whoever goes ahead, it's of course a knockout. So only 32 players out of the 64 will remain, and then they will play the round two, and then there is a round of 16 after in round three, and then the top eight will qualify to play the main global chess championship in Canada in Toronto uh, from 2nd to 9th of November. So actually, if you guys, any of you are in Canada, you can actually think of going there and watching the games live.
Yeah, and it's pretty exciting. We have six of these players, and I think a lot of them are going to go to the round two. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think we have a very good field of players and so strong, and each of the matches are going to be very exciting to watch anyway. And I'm also hoping that all of them qualify for round two. So yeah, we'll cover it right here on this channel. Prachi Jain says hi Shri and Soumya, great to see you back. Hello Prachi, so nice to see you too. She's a mod on my channel.
Oh,
So
nice, nice. Meanwhile, chat, what do you think? How many Indians do you think will make it to Toronto out of the six players? How many Indians do you think, and whom are you rooting for? Who is your favorite to win the global chess championship? Kapil says if bits are same, higher seeded player decides. I think maybe we'll see. I think we'll see soon enough. There's going to be at least one Armageddon matchup today, and as far as I know, this is the first time that we are going to have this format of Armageddon with the bidding, and it's always a bit tough to understand something which has never happened.
right.
Usually we understand things when we do them, or at least when we watch someone else do it, and in this case it's just completely going blind. So I'm not sure how the players will decide and what they will do. Already by day two they will have some experience, I think, having watched how it plays out today.
Right, and actually, Kapil is right in this case. The higher seeded does player does get the choice in case the bids are tied. So thank you, Kapil, for pointing that out. Yeah,
Meanwhile,
absolutely.
we have kickoff of the games, Soumya. The games just started. Nihal Sarin starts with the white pieces. Until we bring up the game chat, feel free to guess Nihal's first move. What do you think he would have played with the white pieces until we get the boards? And Rauf Mamedov is chess.com. ID is Baku underscore Boulevard. But his previous ID was MU is back. So I guess he's also a fan of Manchester United.
Yeah, I remember that one actually. So I was surprised to see this new ID. Nice. Um, yeah, actually, yes.
Yeah, so let's go to the games. And there we have it. Nihal starting out with 1 e4, taking from the top, c5, knight f3. And here his opponent played g6, which is very common, one of Rauf's common openings. And it's also quite common amongst the Azerbaijan players, going for the accelerated dragon. And Nihal replied with c3 here. I'm pretty sure it was not totally unexpected for Nihal, having chosen to start with 1 e4. And he went for c3, but this transposed into the Alapin defense, d5 into d5, queen into d5, d4, bishop g7. And now, after a bit of a long think, Nihal went for knight to a3, c takes d4, knight b5, threatening knight c7 check, and a massive fork. Uh, Black prevented it with knight a6 covering the c7 square, and Nihal just takes d4, knight f6 played by black, and this is the present position that we have right now. Chat, meanwhile, going a lot on 1b3, yeah?
Yeah, I noticed. some of them have guessed it right, e4. Some of them d4 also. Of course, Nihal plays a lot of d4 and e4 both, but some of them were very optimistic about b3. Nice. Guys, keep guessing who will be the Indian players to go to Toronto, because we might give out some exciting prizes to them, maybe a chess.com membership. So do chip in your opinions. Let's see who gets it right.
Exciting. And some of the other games that we'll have today is the game between Ding Lijian against Li Tuanmin, who is also known as Wonderful Time in the online chess circles. And of course, the match up between Kramnik and Melkumian will also be pretty exciting, especially after Kramnik's previous experience with chess.com. It will be pretty interesting to see how his match strategy will be, if how his handling of the clock will be in this matchup. Nihal goes for bishop b5 check.
Right, bishop b5 check. So black is likely to play bishop d7, and what does white have in mind for that? Because c4 check will run into queen e4 check. Sorry, c4 runs into queen e4 check, so it's not that convenient to play c4.
Yeah,
Maybe
I'm not entirely sure what the idea with bishop b5 check is, because after bishop d7, I don't quite see what his likely follow-up is. And Soumya, what do you think about move like bishop into a6 in these types of positions?
Yeah, I'm wondering maybe if that was the idea, like he just wanted to bring the bishop to d7 instead of, if you had directly taken on a6, then ba6 and black develops the bishop to b7. So now that option has been taken away, but I'm wondering if it's too much of
No,
a
that's
concession
exactly
for
what
black.
happened in the game. Bishop b5
Okay,
check, bishop d7 happened,
and he's
and
taken on
bishop,
a6.
yeah, he took on a6. So one thing is, yeah, it takes this bishop out of this diagonal, and second is it also makes this pawn undefended now. Let's say something like queen e2 in at this point, attacking both these pawns at once.
Right.
But what are your initial impressions of the position?
I actually think black is okay, but it's a new position, so I mean it's interesting to play, and players usually go wrong in new position, like especially if you get it out of the opening. We have seen players feeling very uncomfortable when they get into a new position 5-6 moves into the opening. So I think it's a good strategy, but uh, for example, I don't see a problem with a move like, let's say, bishop g4, because black has a pair of bishops, and it is an open position. So you can't say that black has any issues here. But for sure, Nihal is counting on the fact that, the a pawns are doubled, and yeah, like you pointed out, queen e2 here. Queen e2, bishop f4 next, rook a d1, that could be a piece formation, getting both the rooks in the center. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
a pawn needs to be defended before we play rook a d1, but yeah, these are some ideas.
he started with something similar. He started with the rook to e1. This is with the idea of attacking the e7 pawn as well as taking control of these important squares on the e file. And as Soumya pointed out, it's a very interesting position with a little bit of strategic imbalance. There are these pawns on a7 and a6, but black does have the light square bishop and the pair of bishops. And this kind of imbalance, it brings about a lot of interesting things in chess. Which side would you prefer here, Soumya?
I would prefer Nihal's side, whichever side he's on.
It's a good
But
one.
um, There was a question in the chat asking why are Gukesh and Prag not playing. But actually, so this event is by qualification. So there were qualifiers held from 1st of May. And in fact, it's a one of a kind event where literally anybody with a verified account could participate and have a chance to qualify and win the tournament. Like literally anyone. You don't need to be a rated player or a title player to actually participate in this event. But there were qualifiers, so there were a huge set of qualifiers starting from 1st of May, and out of all of them, 32 players qualified to play these knockouts, while 32 players were invited. So, and perhaps some players could not fit the tournament into schedule. That's also possible that some players were invited, but they were already committed to play somewhere else. But so that's the format. So not everybody here is an invited player. For example, I think Ronak qualified and
Yeah.
played. Then Vidit also qualified and played, is playing the matches, while Anand sir is invited to play. So there are some players who are invited and some players qualified.
Yeah, Raunak, Vidit and Mitrava qualified
Yeah.
by playing the qualifiers, and Arjun, Vishy, and Nihal were invited. And aside from that, in general, Gukesh has a very clear focus on classical chess.
Yeah.
So he's not very much present in the online rapid and blitz tournaments. He has that clear focus, and things worked out. And yeah, so that's one of the main reasons why we don't have Gukesh here. Meanwhile, Nihal has placed his knight on e5, and with this he has very good control of the center. There are knights on e5 and d4. The problem for right now in Nihal's position is it's not so easy to get his bishop out into the game, because the rook b8 just played by Rauf controls the b2 pawn and prevents white from developing on the queen side. But aside from that, I really like how white has played the opening.
Yeah. I love the knights on d4 and e5. I was just thinking of Ajinkya actually. He loves to play with his knights and bring them and attack. Black king. Like his only aim is to bring all his pieces into opponent's camp, and especially likes to play with knights. So I automatically thought of him, thinking I should show him this position. Yeah, it's a very nice placement of knights, and actually. I was even thinking of a move like c4 here, but I guess it undermines the d4 knight, and it's a very responsible move to play. So yeah, I didn't expect Nihal to play it, but
Yeah, Nihal, for the moment, he just plays his pawn to h3. And this is a very understandable decision. In the absence of having a light square bishop, the burden or the responsibility of controlling the light squares, it falls to the pawns completely. And placing this pawn on h3 takes the g4 square under control. And if you see, this bishop on d7 is completely controlled by white. All the squares that can go to e6, f5, g4, c6, b5, a4, all of it controlled by at least one of white's pieces, either the knight or the queen or the pawn. And this is Nihal's way of compensating for the lack of light square bishop in a strategic way. And apart from that, yeah, c4 would be very nice to get in if white can get b3 and the pawn bishop on b2, so that it controls d4 and e5. This would be white's dream setup.
right. Yeah, actually, and where to put the white light square bishop for black is a real question. Maybe like it's constantly hanging. Yeah, I mean, black doesn't feel very good about it, so he'll probably think of going maybe rook e d8. I don't know, like just like making a square for the bishop on e8, and bringing the rook in front of the queen. I mean, what is the rook doing on e8 is a real question.
He's actually gone for that. You called it, Soumya.
Right.
He did go for rook e d8. So this rook on a semi-open file, this rook on the only open file that black has, and Right now, this bishop is not functioning a lot right now, but it can still contribute by moving out of the way of the other pieces. And this is what black is intending to do. Chad is asking for Arjun's game. Arjun plays tomorrow against David Paravian. He doesn't have a game today. He plays tomorrow, or is it someone else tomorrow?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there we have the. So these are the matchups for today, and these are matchups currently going on. Ding against Tuan. Arjun plays on 16th. Kramnik against Melkomian and Nihal. These are three games which are going on right now.
Right. Yeah, tomorrow, yeah, it's actually a feast, like all of the matchups, right? They're just a feast, and it's going to be
Absolutely.
so much fun. So Rook d8 on the board, and let's see what are White's options. Yeah, as you pointed out, there is b3. B3 makes a lot of sense, no? B3, bishop b2. Or
Yep.
Or even like queen e2 could be an option because you remove the
But
queen.
b3, the problem is there is a knight e4 immediately.
Oh no. That's a
So
nasty tactic. That's a Does knight d7 fall to knight c3? Probably, yeah.
yeah, probably.
This looks very, very disastrous. So white has to be careful because now both the knights d4 and d7 are hanging and black's pieces are dancing, controlling all the squares on the board. So perhaps something like queen e2 instead of b3, maybe like
Yeah,
just
taking control of the e4 square and also paying a bit of attention to the a6 pawn. Makes a lot of sense. I think this is the direction in which Nihal might be thinking. It's also, I think, worth considering something like queen to f3, offering trade of the queens, which because the queen is centralized, very well placed, and I'm not exactly sure how this will play out though, because the pair of bishops will also get stronger in the end games.
Yeah, and actually after queen e2, you're also supporting b2, so you're ready to play bishop f4 on the next move. So I just feel like it's such a multi-purpose move, and in chess, as they say, any move that creates two or three functions is a good move, so you should generally go for it. But I don't know what is Nihal. Maybe Nihal is considering queen f3, queen e2, and something else. Yeah,
He
he's
has actually taken knight into d7.
okay. Knight d7, knight d7 on the
He
board.
doesn't want to let the light square bishop go, which is a pretty interesting decision because he has traded a very pretty knight. The bishop was quite useful, but it's a big decision by Nihal, big strategic decision. And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm wondering what he did not like. What did he not like about queen e2? He clearly didn't like something. So that's the reason he goes for knight d7. But just wondering why he rejected it. And yeah, now black is threatening e5. So maybe, yeah, but we can't even play bishop f4 because rook b2 hangs. Um, how do we prevent it? Just queen e2 now, maybe.
Yeah, queen e2 is an option now, and
No, but queen e2 e5 anyway, right? Oh no. Oh no. Queen e2 e5, queen e5, rook e8, and now we have queen into e8 and this beautiful tactic with knight e8, rook e8, bishop f8, and bishop f6. So that's what Nihal wants, and black is not going to. But now in the end, black still has a move. He has rook d8 here, so it goes on. It's not
yeah,
over.
it goes on. Rook e1 and now queen d7.
7.
So queen e2 e5 actually works at the end of this beautiful line. And if queen e to e5 works, then maybe queen e2 is not the best option. Therefore, Nihal chooses to go for queen to a4 instead, taking control of the c6 square so as to meet e5 with knight to c6. This knight will be very comfortable out there on c6. And queen a4 will also be useful in other functions, attacking the a6 pawn and getting his piece out in general.
Yeah, I like queen a4. I like queen a4. It's a nice move. Keeps everything in control, and I mainly don't like keeping my queen on d1 in front of the rook. So it's just so much more comfortable, with the queen out of the way. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah,
this.
and I think the problem of developing this bishop can be solved by playing the rook to e2, taking control of this, and then the bishop comes out, and the rook can join this rook, or it can choose a file of its own as well. In the long run, it's definitely useful for white strategically, because white has a fundamentally better pawn structure. Black has these pawns on a6 and a7. So I can understand that Nihal, with his choice of knight into d7, he chose to instantly clarify the piece imbalance situation so that the latent power of the pair of bishops got neutralized at this point immediately. And now, if Nihal manages to get his pieces out into the game, then he'll be left with a clear advantage. And Rauf has to play very energetically, very quickly in terms of the board. He just played his rook to b6, taking control of the c6 square. And he has limited time to stop Nihal's development.
Yeah, rook b6 was expected. I think Nihal must have expected it, but he's thinking. So yeah, surprised because rook b6 was probably forced. Yeah, rook e2 is nice. Rook e2 is really nice. What else does
Yeah, rook
white?
e2, I think he wants to meet it with e5 right now.
That's the problem. So maybe he's considering giving up the b2 pawn for the a6 pawn, like just develop the bishop to f4 instead of
Um, that's
maybe.
possible. That's possible. Although not the kind of trade-off that would be ideal, because in terms of value, the b2 pawn connected with the other pawns is much more valuable than the a6 pawn. Um, but yeah, the question is, how do we solve this threat of playing against e5? And
So
maybe
yeah,
I wouldn't rule out some move like knight to f3.
knight f3. I actually thought about it too, but then I thought like it allows queen b5, and I mean, what are we doing for that? But yeah, knight f3 looks nice. Prophylaxis, prevention, and also that e5 threat is constantly lingering on our head. So
Right. So this is one move. And aside from that, white can always try and make b3 work. Yeah. Uh, although it is recommended always to think several times before playing b3. It would be nice to get this bishop out in the game. So in this instance, white would love to play b3. Last time I talked about b3, chat was like, she's quick to point out faults against b3. She's always finding faults.
yes, I saw that comment. You were in deep analysis, so I didn't interrupt. A question for the chat. Let's see if your thoughts can match with Srinath's. What do you think is going to be the score in this match? Um, and if your score matches with Srinath, then we give out a prize meal. So let's go.
Ah, a diamond membership.
A diamond membership.
Nice.
Nice.
So do I? Oh no, I'm not. I won't reveal it right away. Yeah?
You can't reveal it now. But you have to write. You can write it down. Like, don't cheat. Don't favor someone, like, oh, this Ishan is my friend, so okay, chalo. Don't do
Ishan
that.
is the last person I would favor.
Acha, okay. But but I know he's your mod. And
Yeah. Meanwhile, Soumya, Nihal solved this problem of the b2 pawn by playing his
right.
knight to b3, and Rauf played the move that you suggested earlier, queen to b5, queen into b5. Now, take back with the pawn and improve your structure, or take with the rook and keep the activity going.
I would think e5, no, because that was black's problem all along, and since the material is also not imbalanced anymore, black doesn't have pair of bishops as compensation. It makes sense to at least sort out his structure.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what he did. He took a into b5, bishop to e3, and this is the live position that we have right now. I think the situation has clarified a bit. White has solved his problems of development and neutralized black's pair of bishops, but black has also solved his problems of the pawn structure, and therefore we have a bit of a balanced position. We have a bit of balanced position, but did Roth just blunder bishop c5?
Oh wow. Oh wow, yes. Yes, yes. Bishop
Rook d6
c5.
feels so wrong, and Nihal instantly plays bishop to c5. Rook e6 played, rook into e6, f into e6. And this is such a nice position for Nihal. For the first time in this match, Nihal has a bit of a lead. He has a clearly better position. And chat, what do you think? Is Nihal going to be able to convert this?
What a nice position. Actually, something like okay, I was actually thinking of a4. Even a4 came to my mind, but maybe not, because then it undermines the b2 pawn after ba, and rook a4, rook b7. But um, yeah,
Yeah,
like
but this is also pretty nice. I think you can just go rook b4, and this endgame is bound to be bad for black.
black is always
These
suffering.
Yeah, so a4 makes a lot of sense. Getting access to the a7 pawn. There are two pawns white can get immediate access to. One is you can just play rook to e1, attacking the e6 pawn. Try and get something like knight d4 going. The other option is, of course, to play something like a4, as Soumya pointed out. The challenge for Nihal, he has only 2 minutes remaining, and it's only a 2-second increment.
So,
A4 played on the board. And I
okay.
was actually thinking about this, Soumya, before the start of the match. Nihal is incredibly quick, but he's also the one who is more prone to getting low on time. And I was actually wondering if this 2-second increment might actually be more of a disadvantage to Nihal than an advantage.
Why do you say that?
Because he's likelier to get under a minute. He's likelier to be the first person to get under a minute or 30 seconds. And
Right.
in a situation like that, Nihal, I think he's more benefited by a bigger increment.
Uh-huh. I see. And also no increment.
Yeah, also no increment. Either no increment or a big increment.
Okay. So this doesn't play out to his strengths, this time control. I mean, we'll see, but that's your assessment as of now.
Yeah, unless he starts playing faster. Now he's consciously tried to play faster in recent times. He's tried to modify his time management a bit. Also getting older, so uh, it's not ideal even for an 18-year-old heart to get into 10 seconds in every single game. So he's starting to play a bit faster. But in this game so far, he's played fantastic chess, very accurate, but he's also taken his time to get into it.
I'm just amused by the choice of words that Nihal is getting older. Like, okay. The last
Well,
thing
I
I
think he was already
expected to hear.
the close to the oldest member of the India B team, if AD wasn't there.
Okay, I mean, they're all like few months apart. So if you go by that logic, yeah, probably. But I mean, I don't think Nihal is getting older for at least 15 more years. After that, we'll see.
Chat going like this time really even a challenge for Nihal. Well, he's also playing some very strong opponents, so it every single factor will play its role. And this is exactly the type of question. You're better with white, but you really need to calculate. And black is setting these very tricky problems. He's played his knight to d5. Black's idea was to play rook b1 and threaten these pawns. If he gets the white b2 and c3 pawn, it's very likely to go towards a draw because three pawns would be too less to convert most endgames. And Nihal tries to get rid of it with knight d4. It's a very safe move, but I think this also allows rook d2.
Rook d2. But rook d2 will run into knight e6, no? And bishop
Yeah, you can
e5.
take that pawn, but I just want to. Okay, so knight into g7 and c4 now, yeah.
Pretty. Okay, he still has knight f6, but you have bishop e7 in the end. Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah, just showing that variation. And here you can
So
just
rook
take these
a7.
pawns.
Rook a7 is just crushing. Very
Yeah,
pretty.
but the thing is, black can interject bishop e5 check first, and then take on
But
b2.
we play f4. We play f4, not g3.
f4, then knight into f4, maybe.
Knight e4 and g5. Knight f4 and g5. Okay, that was the point.
Yeah.
And bishop
This
e3.
is a defense Nihal probably overlooked. Yeah, bishop e3, but now black is happy to trade so many of the pawns, and even a position with two pawns for white and only one pawn for black will end in a draw.
Yeah, I guess he overlooked this one because f4 looked like over, but I also complete. I mean, it's easy to miss it when you're calculating really fast. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's a challenge you have when you have a good position, but you have too less time. Then I think you're always under a little bit of pressure. So it's ideal to be the one having more time. Ideal. But then the challenge is you play a bit faster, and sometimes that compromises on the accuracy of your moves. So it's a bit of a delicate balance. It's not easy to do it. And Rauf actually just goes for king f7 for the moment, which is actually a good thing for us.
Nice. So now rook d2 is the threat, and can we just take?
Yes, exactly. He just goes knight f3, defending against rook d2. And now if black goes after the b2 pawn, white will go after the e7 pawn with c4. And knight f3 is such a nice move. It just protects everything. It protects d2, it protects e5 against a potential bishop e5 check, and it also threatens knight g5 check in the future.
Knight f3 is great. He's played two backward moves with the knight in this game. Knight to b3 in the middle game, and then knight to f3, and both of them have been really good resources.
Absolutely. He's played with a knight like Ajinkya.
Yeah, I'm going to show this game to Ajinkya today. I have decided. He started playing chess nowadays, so sometimes, yeah, I'm going to. This is his lesson for the day.
And now Nihal just takes a pawn, and with that he also has connected fast pawns b2 and c3. But again, it's going to be a challenge, Soumya. This is going to be a thrilling end because Nihal has again just 14 seconds remaining. c4 played knight to f4 and to just b4. And it's so useful to have this bishop on a7 because it controls the b6 and b8 squares.
It's beautiful, this formation, actually. The knight on f3 controls the e5 square, so the bishop doesn't come on this diagonal. Okay, so he plays e5, and the bishop on a7 controls the f2 square, which is the other vulnerable point. Very beautiful.
Yeah, the only thing Nihal has to watch out for is some potential counterplay by black against white's king, but he's placed his pieces in such a way that it's so hard to get towards them. And now he pushes the pawn towards b5. These pawns will be on the dark squares controlled by this bishop, c5 and b6. And then c6 and c7, they have a very clear path forward.
Just push knight. He doesn't care about knight f2 stuff, huh? So knight d2 is possible, right? Knight d2 is possible. Bishop e5, just g3. Oh,
Goes
he didn't.
king g1. Just a curious decision. But g3, he was maybe potentially worried about some knight into f2 related stuff.
Right.
So he just goes king to g1 and protects the f2 pawn. And next move, he'll play something like g4 to get out of this back rank. Knight c5 played by Rauf, just trying to get his rook down to the first rank. Nihal doesn't allow it. Knight to d7 and now just rook b5,
Wow,
trading the rooks. And now he gets rid of the back rank weakness, the only thing that Rauf could have played against. This is completely winning, and I think Nihal is going to take the first game for sure, Soumya.
this is a very, very instructive game, in fact. He's handled his advantage so well. I have no doubt that Nihal has got this. Yeah, he's won. He's won the game. Fantastic game by Nihal Sarin. What a way to start the match. What a way to start the event.
Absolutely brilliant stuff. Chant Nihal OP and do hit that like button so more people can tune in and cheer for Nihal in the future games. He's up with a 1-0 lead, which means he only needs to score 1.5 points in the next 3 games. Nihal will have the black pieces in the next round, the next game. Uh, and chat is going like, finally, Nihal is happy. He has 10 seconds.
And also, the poll result is so optimistic. The poll was whether Nihal will win or the game will be a draw or Rauf might win, and Nihal has won the poll by 83%. That's massive. So
I'm
we
actually
have
a bit surprised that it's only 83%, given how supportive our chat is in general.
I think we asked the poll at in the middle game. So at that time, Black's queen was centralized, and there were chances for both sides. So probably that influenced the decision. But there is a new poll now. What do you think, chat? क्या होगा गेम 2 में ड्रॉ होगा या निहाल जीतेंगे या रॉफ जीतेंगे रॉफ कम बैक करेंगे क्या लगता है आपको निहाल is checking.
Meanwhile, I am not sure, but should be.
Yes, Srinath, you were saying something?
Yeah, so I think the next game will start in about 4 seconds or so. There will be a short break. And meanwhile, in the other games between Ding against late one, actually Ding lost the first match.
That's an upset. That's an upset. Late one,
Yeah.
he's also from China, right?
No, he's from Vietnam.
He's from Vietnam, right?
Yeah, I wonder how this game went. And late one, he's actually a very strong blitz player, and he's such a regular in the Title Tuesday RCC events, Arena Kings. And he started with e4, c5, knight f3, knight f6 with the black pieces. It's not the kind of opening that you would see against a 2800 player. All the more so against someone like Ding Legend. Also interesting that Ding started with 1e4, which he doesn't do a lot. Maybe that was his reaction against this. And e4, c5, knight f3, knight f6, e5, knight d5, knight to c3, e6, knight e4. Just the opening happening. I don't know where things changed in this game. Soumya, did you have a look at this game?
No, I'm just looking at it along with you actually. Knight e4, f5, knight c3, knight e4, e3. Yeah, we are here. I think. I mean, f5. Yeah, I don't know the structure very well. I think f5 doesn't look good, but somehow Black managed to create. Yeah, even this position, yeah, after let's say like f5, knight c3, knight b4, a3, knight c6, b4, d5, d6, bishop d6, bishop c4, knight d4, and knight b5. Even here, it looks as if white
Yeah,
is
White
fine.
had a nice position, and he was probably clearly winning at some point. Uh,
Yeah,
let's just have a look at how the game went. Let's have a quick look first. So knight to b5, knight c6, takes. This is already better for white. He has the pair of bishops, the dark square bishop, and
yeah, he got
b5.
both these bishops on these two diagonals. I mean, it looks so scary for black with his pawn structure, and I wonder where white went wrong.
Let's see. Also, Deng was playing pretty fast until this point. Takes, bishop b7, rook e1, taking control of the e6 pawn, the weakness. Knight into f3, queen into f3, rook e8, defending but horrible strategic position. Doubling pressure on e6, goes e5, queen h5. Already some pretty uncomfortable mate threats. And here, I guess Lee Tuan decided that his position is strategically busted. So he has to try and get some counterplay in other ways.
Two.
Queen takes d2.
Queen
Soumya, this
d2.
is the kind of question I would gladly pass on to you with white.
I was looking at bishop f7 if it works. I mean, that was one option, but yeah, computer, I don't know what he thinks of it. And what
Not
else? Oh,
too flattered.
the idea was also that bishop f7, rook e7, rook d1 maybe, and if queen c2, then queen h7.
Wow, this is beautiful.
Trap, trap lagaya. But
Nice.
I don't know if it works, or
Rook
maybe,
d1, the problem is I think you can just take this
uh,
and defend.
maybe take. So
No, the
can we
computer also
play?
doesn't like this for black.
So can we play bishop c3 instead of rook d1? Bishop c3 खेल दो.
Maybe rook e7 itself is not a great move from black.
Uh,
Maybe just rook d8.
Still bishop c3, no? I am threatening queen h7 once you move your queen.
Right.
But now
So
you
now queen
play
d6.
queen d6, right? And queen rook d3, queen f6.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, bishop c1, this question was, he played bishop c1 first. Maybe he was setting up for bishop f7, rook h3. And late one took this pawn. And here, Ding decided to cash in by taking one of the rooks. Meanwhile, the next game is set to start in 3 minutes. Bishop a3, queen f4, bishop f7, rook d8. Takes one of the rooks, rook into f8, and still a massive attacking potential. f3. Chat says Ding was better till the 46th move. Let's jump ahead there. g4, king g7, and here both of them are playing with just 7 seconds. It's actually a very tricky position. Very tricky. And how did we get here from this position? g3, queen g5, takes. Clear exchange up, completely winning for white, but black just holding on. Queen c3 check,
Wow, this is so
queen into
winning for
c6.
white.
Yeah,
No, but this is the draw
yeah,
after queen. Okay, that's what you were saying. Sorry.
yeah.
Yes,
White
go ahead.
can't take this, but rook e2, it went into this endgame. And this is already some counterplay, no? Not totally clear with 12 seconds because of this a pawn. Although it's +4, I think it already got a bit tricky around here, and then something crazy happened. Ding just kind of forgot about his a pawn, or he just couldn't get that coherent thought. But how do you play here as white?
So I was
It's not so
thinking
easy at
king f1 and king e1, something like this. Is it possible?
a4.
Rook f4 and knight
Yeah,
c2
but
a4. Is this okay?
this should be maybe draw. Yeah, knight e3. Maybe not.
Yeah, because g4 is protected. That's the point.
Yeah, but my goal is to take your king or rook away and
Okay.
then start attacking. No, this is not the way.
But I have g5, right? I have g5.
Yeah, knight g2, there's g5.
But
But
maybe some other.
yeah, some of the move here.
Acha.
Also, not so easy for black. This would have been a better way.
I mean, can't think of something concrete at least. Maybe king f6 is a way, like, with the idea that in the end, after knight g2, g5, king f5, and knight f4, this stuff.
Yeah, just try and take these pawns. And it's also not easy for white to make progress here because of he cannot take this knight because of the queen.
But he can be
And
e4 here. So it's actually, I don't know why it's it's showing just like
yeah, but now knight g2.
And then king f5, and then you again attack the rook, right? And then you play knight f4 next move.
Yeah.
Oh, the game has started?
Yeah, the game has just started, game 2. And Nihal will have the black pieces in this one. He starts out with e4, e5.
Italian on the board and very solid. So knight c3. Okay. Knight c3 is interesting choice by black. And d3 and what, just maybe s6.
Yeah.
Maybe h6, yeah. And let's see what's white doing.
This takes me back to
so early is it? It's not normal, right?
Sorry, which one?
Committing knight c3 so early, like usually white keeps chances, no?
Yeah, it's not normal. Bishop c5 in this Italian, it's much more normal to go for these setups at c3 and d3. But in recent times, they have also started to play a lot of knight c3 as well, and this leads to a lot of these equal looking positions. But you get a game knight a4, bishop b6, knight into b6. You get the pair of bishops, and most recently, this was played by SL Narayanan against Vidit. Vidit had a completely fine position with the black pieces, but SL ended up winning that game. It's just one more of these whites attempts to try and get a position which is not totally neutralized by black concretely. And bishop b6 played. Now white goes with h3. He's also preventing black from playing bishop g4. So this used to be my childhood opening, knight to c3 and then d3. And I had a pretty simple plan: play the bishop to g5, knight to d5, and it always used to work. Black used to go d6, and I would go castle. They would also go castle, and then I'd just get this bishop to g5, knight to d5, and they would be defenseless.
Yeah, actually, I mean, it looks like an opening that you would teach a child. Like I was thinking, I would teach something like this to Kanis. I mean, while we were doing
not that you're referring to Kanis as a child, but
no, not that Kanis is a child, but someone who has started playing chess, because you just develop all your pieces and get them in the game, then pin the knight. So that's why it was surprising for me to find out that this is actually like played nowadays, knight c3 and knight a4. Okay, makes sense though. But now that you pointed out the idea to get the pair of bishops.
Yeah, although Nihal has managed to trade one of these bishops. It has still led to a position with some imbalance. Black has a couple of these double pawns, and it's not a lot for white, but something to go by. But I think Nihal wouldn't mind at all his position after the opening. And this also takes me back to this 2019 World Cup, Soumya, when Nihal was playing against another Azerbaijan grandmaster, Eltaj Shafarli. And he similarly won the first game. He outplayed his opponent. And then Eltaj came to the second game with an Ivan's Gambit, this aggressive style. Nihal managed to outplay him in game two as well, but he tragically then blended his piece and lost that one. So, some interesting memories against the Azerbaijan opponents. But since then, Nihal has grown so much more stronger, more stable, more mature. And I'm optimistic that there won't be a repeat of it. Nihal started as a favorite, and with 1-0 lead, I think he's even more of a favorite.
Yeah,
Did he move here though?
Before he did. No, I was just wondering, like, how do you usually recommend getting over, like, these bitter memories? Like, let's say you have a bitter memory with playing against someone, and then you have to face them once again. Is there any recommendation that you give to your students or to yourself? Um, how do you do
Uh,
it?
I don't have any special recommendation as such, Soumya, but I think when you're younger, it's so much more easier to overcome and replace those memories. Uh, and they inevitably have to do it because they do lose a lot of games against stronger players when they're younger. So it's a bit of challenge, but I think when you're younger, you're just constantly getting stronger, and that really helps. So they know at some level that they're not playing the same opposition, and I think there's no particular recipe, but you just have to kind of understand at some level that the past scores, it doesn't matter so much.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. You're not the same man, and it's not the same river.
Exactly. This also kind of gives me a chance to brag about my scores with these kids. Against Gukesh, I had a couple of early wins. So it's 3-1. Against Nihal, it's +3, 3-0 overall. And I promised him that I will never play against him again in a competitive game to keep my score forever.
That's
But
very nice. Yeah, catch them young, as they say.
but also I'm pretty sure they understand that it's completely different now. It's completely different, and I'm sure it's the same with a lot of other grandmasters for them, but it's pretty easy to understand. Meanwhile, chat is going about why not knight into b4.
Yeah, let's ask chat what happens. What do you think white will reply if black takes on b4?
Yeah.
Let's ask
Now,
chat.
talking about that, also in the previous World Championship match, Jan Nepomniachtchi had a score of 4-1 against Magnus. But also, I think Magnus very clearly understood that that's not much of a sample size. It's just 5 games. Not like they have played like 100 games, like Kasparov and Karpov. And also, Magnus, I think, probably believed that he was a stronger player. It's that confidence. Parikshat in the chat has seen the move,
Yeah.
bishop into h6. But this variation still goes on, yeah? You can still take knight into c2. Why is this so bad for...
So white takes bishop g7, right? If you take knight c2.
Yeah, right.
And like the king is totally open now. Actually, you don't need to take on f8. You can play bishop h6.
When?
Here, can you play bishop?
Okay.
Maybe rook a3, yeah? Rook A3,
Yeah.
Queen 2, Rook F7. Queen
Rook
C1 is
A3
better.
almost
Sorry.
Queen C1.
Queen C1 is better. Yeah. Queen C1 wins. Nice.
No, I think you don't really need to do Rook into A3 here. Just Rook E8 or Rook F7.
Yeah, but even this position, no, I mean, White has so much compensation after Queen A1. Like, even if he doesn't take Bishop F8, I think White would be fine. But if he takes Bishop F8, then also it's fine. So I think White has a choice.
Yeah, White has a choice. True. But in any case, knight into b4 doesn't work, and that's, I guess, why Nihal is taking quite a bit of time here.
Actually, here Black's typical plan is Queen E8 and Knight H5, Knight F4, right? This is one of the main plans in this position because you have taken Fe, the rook is in the open file already, and you want to go to F4 with your knight, but right now Knight H5 runs into Knight E5. So that's the reason you prepare it with Queen E8. And also your queen goes to g6, so it's always useful to play this move. It also covers the e6 pawn for later. So
Right.
I'm just wondering, is there a issue with queen e8? Because he might have noticed it. So what is he calculating here?
What is he thinking for so much time? Yeah, that's what you're wondering, right?
Uh, Is he thinking of knight
Yeah,
h4? I mean, I don't know what. I'm not able to understand you. You know him better, Srinath. Can you?
Soumya, what is he thinking about is the question that I've been thinking for. I've been wondering for so many years, and I've never been able to understand what goes on in Nihal's head. What is he thinking about? After such a long thought, he finally goes for Queen E8. He took actually close to 6 minutes there, almost half of his time, and goes Queen E8. Not entirely sure what he was calculating, what the alternatives were. He could have probably been thinking about knight to e7, knight to g6. I think something like 2 minutes is normal for such a decision. Thinking 6 minutes, it feels like a lot of time. But that said, this is how Nihal warms up and gets into the game. He takes this long think for one of the moves after his the first after he reaches the first position out of the known opening, and yeah, this is, I think, his way of getting into the game. Bishop b2 played by White. This just invites the knight to f4. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, white wants to probably just play d4. Acha, g3. Prevent knight g4. Okay, but this is a very um uh sorry, I'm distracted by Chesscom India's question. आपका क्या head to head record है Indian star kids के against? मेरा निहाल के साथ 1-1 स्कोर है, मैंने 2 ड्रॉ किए हैं. बट और मेरा उसमें से एक गेम बहुत अच्छा है उसके साथ. आई एम वेरी प्राउड ऑफ दैट गेम, which was recent only. But
Yeah.
one another game was when he was a like 5 foot no
Child.
inches. Huh. He was still.
So are you still talking about the recent game?
No, I'm talking about the 2015 15 Commonwealth. That time he was 2250, and I remember he was standing for most of the game because he couldn't reach the last square. I mean, eighth rank of my my end, so he was standing for most of the game. It was a very interesting experience to play against him that time because he was 11 or 12 years old, and I mean, he was already such a prodigy. So, yeah, he played well that time also. And Abito, of course, he was 2650 already by the time we played the second game. And I've played once against Gukesh in this Asian online Asian Championship. So during the lockdown, we had this Asian Championship, which was a World Cup qualifier actually. It was not even an Asian Championship, and I lost. That's the only time I played against him. Baki, I don't think I've played against any of the current
Prodigies.
current prodigies. Actually, they have already arrived. I mean, I don't
You
know.
haven't played against Arjun, yeah?
I've never played against Arjun. I've never played against Ronak. And now they're already, I mean, Arjun is already
Monsters.
2700.
Yeah. Meanwhile, so White has prevented Black's plan with G3, Soumya, and Black just went with the rook to F6, intending to triple on the F5.
Yeah, like Black, yeah. Queen F7, Rook F8, मतलब plans तो easy है Black के लिए, बस D4 break के लिए थोड़ा watch out करना पड़ेगा. But F3 square पे, we keep pressurizing the F3 square, and how does White? I mean, yeah, White goes knight H2 for sure. So he wants to put his knight on G4.
Yeah, this knight comes to G4, and I think the challenge for Black is what he does after White gets this setup, knight to G4, king to G2, queen to E2. Then what does Black do? He can potentially go some queen G6, get the rook to F8. But for Black, the danger in these kind of setups is after he gets this setup, it's not easy to decide what to play next. In this case, though, he does have this F3 square to play with.
Wow.
And it's the same question for White. How does he improve on the king side?
I mean, he could also
Queen
go
side.
knight D7, knight F6, for example. Reroute. That's an option.
Yeah, that's a pretty strong plan. Trying to open up the G file.
I remember one game of Anish, I guess it was against Dinglish, where he, tripled up on the F file and he played a very slow game with Black and won a very nice game. I think it was a classical game. I don't remember which year it was. But it was against Dinglish and he was very proud of it. I remember him showing the game on a stream as his best game,
Nice.
So,
let's see if there's a repeat of that for Black in this game. He was queen to G6, rook F8 incoming next, and so far it's following the way we thought it would. Yeah. And the position doesn't seem that exciting for the moment. It's not really clear what White's plan is. As I said, you have to watch out for the D4 break, but I don't think it's happening anytime in the near future.
D4 break, yeah?
D4, yeah. It's not so easy to.
Yeah, I mean, I think White will first safeguard his king, and that itself is going to take so much time. So I think White's first priority will be to, keep his position like protected as much as possible, and then,
Yeah, but how do you do that? Like, how do you defend? Say knight to G4, rook F7, king to G2, rook F8, and now what? B5 and D4? No, but whenever there's D4, there's queen into E4 check.
No, maybe just that bishop is misplaced. Yeah, maybe bishop C1 back.
Yeah, but then maybe knight D4, knight F3.
Even knight G3.
Oh yeah, knight G3. Beautiful, beautiful. Did you play bishop C1 just to set that up?
No, it's just automatically. It's just such a bad move. Yeah, but knight d4 is always available actually. I mean, we can anytime go knight d4. Whether we want to do it or not is up to us.
Right.
No, this is not comfortable for white. I mean, even though he saved a lot of time getting into this setup, he's not saved a lot of effort. He's going to have to compensate for it in this second half of the game.
Yeah. White has gone b5, which is understandable. He goes b5. Do you think he just wants to get in d4 before getting the knight to g4? Because once you get the knight to g4, you cover the h5 knight, and d4 is no longer an option. Maybe he just wants to get d4 asap. And now, where does black's knight go? Do we go knight d4 or do we go knight a5, knight e7?
Yeah, knight d4, c3, just wondering, but then knight b5. Then, yeah, knight b5, a4, knight a7 is possible. So, yeah, this
So this just loses this pawn.
not ideal. The other option is to, okay, a4 I think just feels wrong because maybe knight g3. Is it possible to take?
Let's find out.
Yes, we need to consider it. So now minimum queen h3 is there, but rook f8. Okay.
Queen h3 would just trade queens. No?
Oh, just trade queens, right? After rook f6 and queen g4.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe not queen h3, but then rook f8, I thought anyway, queen g4. But we get the c2 pawn in the end.
Yeah. Yeah, but somehow some moves in the game, by the way. b5, knight d4 was played, and white just took this and went for e5. e5, d takes e5. This is the present position that we have in the live game.
That was totally
And
unexpected. है ना?
yeah, we didn't see bishop d4 and e5 happening. It's
हाँ,
a very Rauf Mamedov move.
unusual idea for sure. And queen g4, okay, for example, let's say we go queen f7, then he probably wants to go queen e4 and attack b7, right?
Yeah, and in general, I think white just wants this pawn structure. He's sacrificed a pawn, but he wants this kind of pawn structure where he can try and attack the e5 pawn, target the e5 pawn. And if white manages to win this pawn, under most circumstances, white would be better because then the d4 and the e6 pawns would be a weakness for black. But that said, white will not allow this to happen. After queen g4, sorry, black will not allow this to happen. Black will not allow white to get this dream position. Once again, though, Nihal suffering from a massive time deficit. He has only 2 minutes remaining.
Wow. Wow. So 2 minutes, wow, as opposed to 7.5. But definitely with a, let's say, preferable position, if not superior. Probably it's still equal, but we would prefer to take black as white in this game. And yeah, queen f5. Queen f5 played. So queen f5 is a nice move. I like it. You can't take because it corrects your pawn structure. Probably white. So white can't play rook e1 actually because the other rook or a to e1. If white plays rook a to e1, then the a3 pawn falls and rook f to e1 is impossible because of queen f2. So
Yeah.
and queen e4 runs into queen h3. So yeah, white is short of moves here. White is short of. What does white do? Maybe king g2 is a move. King g2.
No, king g2, that will be knight f4 check.
Knight f4. Wow, wow, nice. Running into this tactic.
Yeah.
Not easy. Not easy to take a decision.
Yeah, I think you just have to kind of go back, maybe queen e2 something.
And you give up the h3
But
pawn
then
for
also,
h5.
yeah, h3 pawn.
Because knight queen e5 runs into knight f4, no?
Yeah, queen even worse.
But then queen e4 he has, luckily. So maybe it's not lost.
But nevertheless, it doesn't feel like white is the one who's playing for a win, and white has to win to strike back. Nihal is in the lead in this match with 1-0 score.
Oh, he's
Rauf
played
goes rook e1, so he doesn't
again?
mind giving up the a3 pawn.
Acha, he wants to take the e5 pawn because after queen f5, rook f5, he has g4.
No, I don't think you can go. Yeah, exactly. Although
So
this variation also goes on rook g5, knight f3, rook g6, knight into e5, rook g5. And black can ask white, oh no, now f4 is just winning. Why is this equal? Maybe just exchange sacrifice here. Yeah, I guess this is the idea, and now just king f7, king f6, and this is compensation.
nice. But we don't want to go into this, right? We want
Yeah,
to f5.
yeah, that's what happened in the game. He just took into f5, rook into e5, and Nihal now down to less than a minute. He just played rook to c3. The position looks totally solid though.
Position looks comfortable, but the knight on h5 is out of the game right now. If he can get it into the game or create some threats with f4 in the future, then that would be good. Rook c5, nice move. Rook c5 is a nice move. Defending everything.
Yep. Rook c5 keeps things under control, but white has managed to create some chances. Yeah, and this knight on h5 is extremely unfortunately placed. Something like rook e7 now to keep the counterplay going. The computer hates this move. Computer is like, why do you make moves on your own?
I think computer doesn't like rook d6 probably. Knight
Yeah.
e6, rook e5. Oh no, rook e8 check. King f7, knight.
Yeah.
Yeah, king f7. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wins. Yeah, this looks good. Yeah, but
So
if
I
she's
guess
playing
rook
got a
e1.
complex position, actually, it's yeah. I mean, it's a little tricky, I would say, but not complex. I mean,
Rook
black.
e1 happened,
Acha.
but the computer doesn't like it, and rook into e5, rook into e5, g6 played. This is again the present position that we have. And black is a pawn up Soumya. This knight threatens to get into the game with knight g7. And
Yeah.
if black takes a couple of moves to consolidate the position, then black would be completely winning. Are we looking for an early finish today?
Not bad. Someone predicted 4-0, when we asked for the score.
It's a bad prediction.
Yeah, they would
4-0 will never happen. I think they went with the Olympiad score lines.
अब तक ओलंपियाड का भूत उतरा नहीं है. Knight e6 possible है क्या यहाँ पे? Like maybe as white, but then we play rook f7, right? And we support.
Yeah, rook f7 is nice.
Yeah, and black has nothing to worry about.
Absolutely, I really love Black's position. This takes me back to the same matchup between Nihal and Eltad Soumya. It was very similar. Nihal had very less time, but completely better position. He was 1-0 up. And let's see how things are different 3 years on.
Mm-hmm.
Nihal was devastated after the 2019 game, though. He just couldn't recover. He just couldn't play the tie breaks. And he lost very meekly and just wanted to go home after that. But
World Cup is tough actually because it's a knockout, you're not used to it, and suddenly to go there and lose a winning game, it's tough.
yes, but then so is the Chess.com Global Championship, also a knockout. Only advantage is you don't have to wait too long to go home if you lose.
We're at home.
Yeah.
Right. That's true. And also, I guess to have 4 matches is actually very balanced, a balanced format. Like you get a chance to come back as well. And yeah, Rook E7 played. Rook E7 on the board, Rook F7, Rook E8, King H7. Rook
Look
F.
at it. They're going to repeat. They're going to repeat. They're going to repeat. It's going to be 1.5 half. Yeah,
But
they're going to repeat.
Why does he want to repeat here? He doesn't like King G7 followed.
Then some 96 check 98 maybe. Or just Rook B8. I don't know, but Nihal will see some variation that bothers him and he'll repeat because he has only 20 seconds and with such little time you see a lot of ghost. Okay, he goes for King G7.
Rook B8, Rook D7, right? Because D3 pawn is ours. I mean, I don't think black has anything to bother in this position. White is the one fighting for a draw, so let him fight for it.
Oh, also I forgot to mention my prediction for the score of this match. Yeah, I think now I think it will be 2.5.
Acha, a lot of people predicted 2.5. So some of them are going to get a diamond membership.
I guess only one of them.
Rakesh Bhai. He's watching. He's got it. Acha, so knight d4. Let's see. Maybe knight f3. And now rook d3. Acha, so b7 will anyway hang, but we have rook c3 protecting c7. So maybe just knight f6 now, no?
Knight just knight f6, rook b7, knight d5 also works. He just goes rook d7, just brings the rook back, which is actually a bad move because knight e5, rook e7, knight c6, and c7 falls. Blender by Nihal. Yeah, rook c3 was better. Now it's a draw.
Pity.
Yeah, he should have. Rook d7 was a blender. Instead, rook c3 was the move, or knight d5, as you pointed out. Yeah, either way, either of these moves were better. Anything was better except rook d7. Nihal wouldn't be happy with that miss.
Yeah, he had this game, he had completely dominated in this game and Rauf was on the back foot. He's gonna feel the tinge.
Yeah, but that said, the positive thing here is that Nihal is the one who's dominating in both these games. And he won one and he's drawn one. So those are the good signs. Meanwhile, a couple of other live games going on, and Kramnik has won his first game and he looks set to take the second game as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm glad for Kramnik. Considering
amazingly strong player he is,
yeah, but he doesn't play much online. So, it's actually, I mean, in this format, not to be experienced. But yeah, I'm really happy to see.
But the thing is, for Kramnik, he's just so strong. He can just play by his feet, and he's not going to get below. He's not going to get below 1 minute that easily, or 30 seconds.
Nihal looks a little upset looking at his player cam. But okay, chalega. He's got the psychological edge, and let's go. He's white in the next game. Let's go, Nihal. Oh, Kramnik won, so he won the first 2 rounds, both of them, yeah?
Yep.
I mean, first 2 games of the match. Nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful
Checkmate.
checkmate. Beautiful.
And the Ding game is still going on, and Ding looks set to equalize. Oh, he's just won, is it? Or no, he looks set to equalize. The evaluation bar is slow to catch up. Yeah.
So Ding is playing black here, and yeah, black is totally winning. He's 2 pawns up. Even though it's an opposite color bishop and game, but
Just these pawns are pretty weak. I think he'll take the A3 pawn as well.
he can't go to B2 on time, right? Anyway, even if he could, the G pawns or the H pawn would have rolled. So, yeah.
Yeah. Sriram is asking, do we have to predict Srinath's prediction or match result for Diamond membership?
No, the question was Srinath, if you can match Srinath's prediction for the match, and that was the question I asked in the beginning of the stream. So.
Yeah, I actually forgot to. So it's not about getting it right.
You just need to know how Srinath thinks. You need to have watched a lot of his streams and have gotten to know him.
Into the mind of Shri.
Nice.
So that's all the games in round 2, game 2. At the end of 2 games, Nihal is in the lead with 1.5 half. Ding has equalized. It's 1-1, and Kramnik is running away with it with 2-0. So this is the situation we have right now after 2 games, and I'm also a bit optimistic about getting a little bit of time off the commentary, which is also why I'm predicting a 2.5 half win for Nihal. But let's see.
Yeah. So maybe we can ask another question. It's time for another question. Let's predict the opening of the third game.
Sure. This one's easy.
Acha. You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Acha. Let's see.
But we'll see.
What chat says.
Let's see how the chat thinks.
So if you don't know the name of the opening, you can just like write the move. Maybe first 2-3 moves you can write, or even the first 2-3 moves if you can write, then that would be enough.
The first move is enough, no?
First move is also enough actually, yeah, because we don't know what black is going to play, and let's see.
Yeah.
But first move, a lot of people will get right. They'll just like there are only 2-3 options, so that's why I wanted to ask which opening. Like
only 2-3 options are Soumya.
Okay, 4 options. Chalo.
Only 4 options, no? Only 4 realistic options with white.
No. I'll specify the question. The question is that you have to guess the opening. So if you don't know the name of the opening, you have to tell the first 3 moves. Chalo. Matlab, what white will play, then black's reply, white's reply, and then black's reply to that, and then white.
Cool.
For example,
Catalan
is a series of moves, right? You can't reach it after, let's say, 1d4. That's not the right answer. You have to specify something.
Yeah. Yeah. It will take another 3 minutes for I think the games to begin. Kapil is on point. Yeah, I think he must have watched me a lot. Srinath lazy as usual. Indian from South. 1b3 is opening for Nihal, I'm sure. E4, 1b3. Sudarshan is like, how to know he's not paid by the hour? Catalan, Spanish, D4, D4, Italian, London. It's so easy to predict openings even if you don't know chess. Yeah, you just have to name a popular European city and you're predicted an opening.
That's true. Hey, we should name some openings after like our cities. Yeah. Oh, Pune, Mumbai opening, Chennai opening. Why not? Why
I think,
not?
yeah, we
They're
can we
already
can we
famous.
can name
Yeah.
something after Nashik.
Nashik.
Yeah,
What is it that Vijit plays
an
a lot?
opening which takes excessive time to be able to develop your pieces.
What rubbish.
An opening where it takes excessive time to get your pieces to the destination. Nashik Gambit.
Nice. I think Mumbai opening will be the one where all the pieces are cramped. Everything is stuck. Like, oh my God, there is no space to move. That's Mumbai opening for sure.
Yeah, but then a couple of pieces should have a lot of space. And
No, I'm
not all the
imagining.
pieces will be cramped.
No, I'm imagining a Mumbai traffic jam. Like you just decide to go out anywhere, anytime, and there's always a traffic jam. So, I
I
once
know,
missed
I
my
know.
flight. I think for the Olympiad only, I missed my flight. So I took
Wow.
the next flight, but it's okay. I mean, it's not like it was not an international flight, so it's fine. But I
I've
missed.
never missed a flight so far.
You've never missed a flight. This was the first time I missed a flight, actually. I was very proud of myself. If you have watched Jab We Met, like, Geet, मेरी आज तक कभी train नहीं छूटी by God. She's so proud of herself. Like that, I used to be very proud of myself कि चलो मेरा कभी flight या train नहीं छूटा है. First time Bombay आके, like I
I have
learned my.
had several dreams of missing my flight though. Uh, it happens a lot. There will be all kinds of crazy situations, and then I have to make my flight. And maybe it's one of my biggest fears,
Mhm. Of missing
Chat
a.
is,
It's your
yeah, of
fear.
losing my record. Yeah. It's like my never lost record against Nihal. I don't want for it to ever change.
Break it. Chat is suggesting an opening for Pune City, London system, lazy and solid. Oh God, Sriram Chakradev.
We can rename the current openings to Indian cities. Let's go. Let's go.
Why not? Yeah, why
Ah,
not?
so let's start with Catalan. Catalan would be which Indian city? Because this should be your
Lot of
favorite Indian
wide
city
roads.
because huh?
I'm imagining a lot of wide roads because open file for the bishop and a lot of like wide lanes, like scope to maneuver.
Well connected.
Like I am actually
Delhi.
thinking of Chennai because Chennai has very nice road. I was in Chennai a lot the last 3 months. I think I've spent the last 3 months in Chennai only. So it's so nice. Yeah, the roads and all, they are so wide and there's so much space, I thought. Chennai is a nice, good candidate at least for Catalan.
I don't mind. That would
है
be
ना?
perfect for me.
हाँ,
That would be so perfect for me.
हाँ.
Catalan, Chennai. Chat, what do you think? Only Mumbai cause H4 is Hyderabad. H4 is Divya's opening. That's
हाँ.
patented. Nihal might as well play the London. Parikshit is actually quite knowledgeable about chess, I must say. London was one of the openings Nihal has played against Rauf in the past. This was in 2020. Tata Steel, the classical event. And people are going Calcutta, it's Mumbai, very complicated. etc., etc. Meanwhile, chat, what do you think about the match? Is Nihal going to finish it off in 3 games, or is it going to go till 4 games? I just feel a bit hungry right now, so I don't mind if it ends in 3 games also. And it will be good to see Nihal win early. The earlier he wins, the better.
The players are back, so I guess the match starts soon, like the game starts soon.
Yep.
Both the players are like fully focused. Okay, Nihal is probably resting. Mamedov is trying to focus and think about what he wants to do. Yeah, Nihal is here. Nihal is here as well.
Yeah, Nihal is here. The game has started. It's English opening. Oh wait, that is Denglishan's game. I was so surprised. Where is Nihal's game? Yeah, the game has started, and as I thought it would be a repeat because whatever idea that Nihal had for the first game, he probably didn't get to play it, and so that's why he repeats it. And this time maybe Rauf will change his opening. He might play the Sveshnikov. Yeah, he starts with knight c6. Sveshnikov is his main, and Nihal goes for bishop b5, which he intended for the first game as well, which didn't happen.
Oh, so the Rosolimo is on the board. I don't think anybody suggested this opening, but probably some people did suggest this again. We have to go back and check in this chat. Meanwhile, yeah, c3, bishop g7, rook e1. So black did not play e5. He didn't prevent white's idea of d4, right? Like,
yeah, he didn't play e5.
So I mean that
but
is another
also against this model, it's not.
I'm
not sure if e5 is the main move here. After c3, knight f6 is normal, I think. And here there's a move with e5, but Nihal goes for rook e1, castle, d4, queen b6, all of which I'm pretty sure he has probably prepared for this match.
Yeah, d4 is another move like d5 as well, with the idea that e5 play knight e4, right? But black goes for queen b6. I think d5 is the main move, no, in this position.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. D5 is the main move, I think. Queen b6 is a relatively lesser known move, and immediately Nihal starts thinking. It's an interesting post by Nihal.
Yeah, he's thinking. Meanwhile, I'll just go back in the chat and check if anyone suggested e4.
Sure. So, and after a little bit of think, Nihal takes on c6, d takes c6, and now pawn to h3, preventing any bishop g4 related stuff. So we are back to a similar situation to game one strategically. White has given up his pair of bishops. Black in return gets this light square bishop, but doubled pawns, slightly weakened pawn structure. Not as much as the previous game, but it's still similar from a strategic sense. And very nice center for white. I like, again, from a strategic perspective, I like white's position here. It's also lovely to see Nihal's setup, his games in general. When it all goes to plan, it just flows very smoothly from a strategic perspective, and it's all set up nicely as well.
Nihal feeling sleepy. So bishop c6 dc. By the way, I checked the chat. Yes, Prachi, you did suggest Sicilian. So congratulations. Rakesh Bhai will contact you and please send your details to chess.com. I think Rakesh Bhai will soon write a message in the chat and you can send him your details and you'll get a diamond membership for a month. Congratulations.
Diamond membership. Chess player's best friend.
So bishop c6, dc. on the board. And I mean, I know that bishop c6 is the main idea for d5 because we take, like, black has to take with the b pawn. But here black has the option of taking with the d pawn. So I'm just like curious why this should be bad for black. Like, what is black's problem here? Maybe maybe the bishop. Yeah, he doesn't know where to develop it. But bishop d7, yeah, bishop d7 is an option, no, over here, for example.
Yeah, but somehow it doesn't feel good, the
Hmm.
bishop being here. And secondly, this might run into some e5 and d into c5. The knight on f6 protecting it. So I guess at the moment, black has to wait before developing the bishop, and that's what he does. He starts with rook d8. It was not an easy move. He took his time. He took close to 3 minutes, and I think for the first time in this match, Nihal with a time advantage. So Rauf goes rook to d8, and now queen c2 by Nihal. C takes d4, C takes d4. This is actually a very familiar setup for me. It kind of transposes into something, but it doesn't transpose, but it's a very typical setup for white to have this kind of presence in the center. And if white managed to complete his development, then black would have been in a very uncomfortable situation. So Rauf decides to lash out with c5.
Wow, c5. I mean, what happens if white takes on c5? First of all, let's see, like d into c5. It's just a
Yeah.
pawn.
For now, yes, it's just a pawn, but white black will have pressure on these pawns, the c5 pawn and uh, the e4 pawn. And there are some cases where knight into e4 is an actual threat. So it's not easy for white to develop his pieces once again. But that said, I think white has to take d into c5.
Yeah, d into c5 is sort of forced. So let's say we get this position, and now maybe a move like knight b d2, covering the e4 pawn and developing our knight. Uh, black play b6?
Yeah, I think black plays b6, and black at the very least gets a lot of activity. He has taken d into c5. Nihal has taken the pawn. So this is the live position that we have. And people are pointing out that Rauf is showing his t-shirt. Tanmay, but move off chewing t-shirt.
Yes.
Who will win this? I think Nihal. But let's see.
I'm wondering if white can play a move like knight e5 here. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it's a good idea to show why not. Knight e5, queen c7. And I was looking at bishop f4, but then knight h5, and there's a double attack on e5 and f4. So that's exactly why white will not go for this.
Yeah.
But what else? So knight b d2 we don't like that much, probably. Do we have any other options?
I'm sure we do. One option is to just give up the pawn back and develop your pieces, which is also computer's first line for white.
Wow, okay.
And here white will be the one ahead in development.
And why doesn't a move like, let's say, e5 in the beginning instead of knight c3?
E5
I mean,
or maybe bishop f5.
Right, bishop f5. This is very important. Because I was thinking if black goes knight d7, then we have e6. But bishop f5 is very strong in terms of.
Right. So this is the question we have out of the opening. And Nihal is a pawn up, but he's behind on development, as we can see with these pieces on a1, b1, and c1. And in this instance, Nihal has a choice. He can try and struggle to develop his pieces, holding on to the extra pawn he has, or he can give back this extra pawn and get ahead on the development. Let's see what Nihal does, and he's probably contemplating these things. And if he plays knight to c3, I think white will have a slight edge at the end of the opening.
Nice. Meanwhile,
He goes
guys,
knight
do
b
hit
d2.
the like button if you are enjoying the stream. And we are, if you have any questions about the game or you have any new suggestions, feel free. We are looking at the chat and we would be happy to interact with you. कोई कोई किसी ने e5 लिखा है, कुणाल गुप्ता writes e5. I think he means the same e5 as we discussed.
Yeah, which we just showed on the
Hmm.
board.
Hmm.
Yeah. Knight b d2 played by Nihal though.
Yeah, knight b d2 on the board. So b6, we were looking at b6, right, over here.
Yeah, we're looking at b6.
Hmm. b6 can be expected.
But not such a simple position for either of the sides here. It's just 13 moves, but there's just so much complexities and intricacies to navigate.
Yeah, and again the knights are dancing. Like abhi knight b3 is an option, and after bishop b7, white has the option of playing knight f d4 or knight e5. You know, these moves do come to mind.
Sorry, after what?
Like after b6, again white has gotten his knights into place, so he gets knight b3, then bishop b7, and now white has these options of going either knight f d4 or knight e5, one of the two. Actually, knight f d4 supports the queen on c2, so we can play that, and then we
Yeah,
take on b6 at some point.
yeah,
Or we,
yeah, yeah. All these things possible if black had played b6, but instead black just played his bishop to e6. And once again, Soumya, there should be some way to support the c5 pawn. Black just wants rook c8, queen to c5, and then he'll be equal material with superior development. But Nihal will not allow that to happen, and I think this is a critical point where Nihal can try and take the lead. This matchup has been pretty interesting. Nihal's knights against Rauf's bishops, and Rauf has clearly played faster, but Nihal has been a lot more accurate.
yeah, that's absolutely accurate in terms of the analysis as well. And bishop e6 also, I think, keeping an eye on a2 so that white doesn't have this option of going rook b1 and b4. You know, the a2 pawn hangs. So I would definitely consider knight g5 here, just pushing that bishop away from this diagonal and then playing a move like rook b1. Because we don't want to keep our rook on this diagonal ideally before playing b4, because it gets in the way, it can get attacked, knight e4 stuff, and then bishop into a1, and black just wins the exchange. So we want to get our rook out of the way, so that's the reason we want the bishop to go back.
Yeah, but here I think black might just ignore this and play rook c8. I think
Knight,
so. Knight e6.
Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, you're on knight b3?
No. We can continue this line. There was a suggestion in the chat with knight b3. We'll have a look at it.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Knight e6, queen e6. This is also a pretty interesting suggestion. But
Yeah,
yeah,
because now
another
we
thing
go
is,
knight right now, no? And we just support all our pawns.
and complete the development.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's possible, but for some reason the computer still thinks it's 0.0. And there's some compensation, but it's not so easy to find a direct way towards the compensation here.
Yeah, I
Meanwhile,
mean,
Sorry.
B6 is a regular idea, I think, in these positions. So we need to keep considering it for black. Yeah, Prachi Jain has suggested knight B3 instead of knight G5. Yeah, possible, actually. Very much possible because bishop into B3, we take A into B3. And then we play B4 on the next move.
But Nihal has in fact gone for your move, Soumya. He has gone for knight to G5. And I was I felt that black would give back the bishop, but I didn't like. Oh, rook is c8. We are actually calling the game. Knight into e6,
Wow.
queen into e6, and maybe it will just continue with knight b3 here.
Yeah, knight B3 is the most logical move. Is there any other move that's equally good? Probably
You could
not.
argue for knight f3, but knight b3 also defends the c5 pawn.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Lesser things to bother about after knight B3. But black anyway goes for B6, I am sure. Let's see, let's see. Is it
yeah,
good to
now bishop e3.
this is the game, yeah?
So the game queen into e6 has happened. This is the
Okay,
game.
so we are
And
waiting
now
for
Nihal is still thinking. Meanwhile, someone in the chat asking why is Nihal playing this slowly? Because again, chat Nihal has been playing more precisely, and quality comes at a cost. It takes time to play good moves.
nicely put. Sriram Chakradev asks, is it good to play B4, give up the exchange and play on the A1 H8 diagonal?
It's actually a pretty good question. I was also wondering about it, but not if you cannot get black's dark square bishop. It only makes sense if, in return for the a1 rook, white also gets black's dark square bishop. And if that doesn't happen, then it's not enough compensation. Also, in this position, I think it won't be a lot of compensation because black will be able to neutralize this diagonal. He goes for the knight to f3, Soumya, which I thought he might. The only problem with knight b3 was that it felt a bit misplaced here, this knight on b3. Not a very rosy future for the knight. But that said, I couldn't find a convincing move for black here. So probably knight b3 was objectively a bit stronger. But Nihal goes for knight to f3. And in
I
this
know
game,
what is his idea. I know what is his idea. Can I point it out?
sure, sure,
I just
sure.
want point it out before he plays it. I think his idea is after B6, he wants to go knight G5 and then play queen B3 and attack F7 and basically get the
Oh,
queen out of the way. And then he is free to take C into B6 after black plays E6.
right. That's his little trick.
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting. But okay, Nihal is very stream friendly. You don't have to worry about him making a move before we point out the idea because he's going to take another minute for his next move.
But I wonder why he's thinking because knight G5 looks so nice. I mean, uh, oh,
I
it's
know
Rauf.
black has to play
That's
now.
why. It's Rauf's move. That's why. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. So he's figured out Nihal's idea, I think.
right. Do you think he would go knight d7? No,
Knight D7.
but then there's bishop e3.
Yeah. Knight d7, bishop e3. Let's continue. If he plays b6, okay, you
Um,
take first. Okay.
yeah, actually, I thought black can just do that.
No, but then I have rook d1, no? In this position. Rook a d1.
But why is that such a big deal?
I I thought this is fine. Let's say rook c5, rook d8, bishop f8, queen d2, and rook c8. I keep missing the rook going back.
Yeah, rook c8 is an important.
Right.
And black is okay. So knight d7 would have been fine here, but instead black just goes queen to c6, which is also fine. Queen on c6 attacks both c5 and e4, not allowing white to play bishop e3 so easily. But then if I had to choose as white to give up either of these two pawns, I'd give the e4 pawn. I'd choose to keep the c5 pawn, which is more advanced and will be likelier to help white create a passed pawn in the future.
Hmm.
Nihal just goes b4.
Sriram's suggestion, right? That was Sriram's suggestion.
Not entirely, because I think I don't think he has any intention to give up the exchange. Instead, I think he's protecting the c5 pawn. So b6, I expect bishop e3 here, giving up the e4 pawn and protecting the c5 pawn.
Okay. So it's going to be a purely technical conversion with no tricks.
Yeah, if it works.
B6.
If it is concretely workable for white. You're saying?
B6 is on the board. B6 is on the board. But I was wondering what did he plan to do for knight e4? He wanted to just play rook b1 instead of b6.
Knight e4, yeah, I think you can play rook b1. Because now e7 might have some just bishop b2, I'm sorry, just bishop b2. Bishop b2 was his intention.
Bishop b2 was the point, right? Okay.
Yeah. This would lead to a very nice structure for white and a weak pawn for black.
Nice. So black has played b6 and Nihal is thinking whether to go bishop e3 or maybe he's considering some five jumps. He's still not made a decision.
Yeah. He's still thinking, but he's not going to have a lot of time to think because he has just about 150 seconds remaining with only a 2-second increment in this format.
It's very interesting to actually, it would be very interesting if we could look into a chess player's brain and look at exactly what thoughts he had. Did he actually go deep in the variation, or were there a lot of candidate moves? So
Or was
BC,
he even thinking about chess?
or was he even thinking of chess? For sure. Yeah, we have reached an end game with rook to b7. Now rook a5 can be expected, supporting the a7 pawn, giving up the e7 pawn instead, but attacking a2. Very equal, no? Or does white have chances?
Yeah, very equal, but still maybe some
Because
thing
of the
against the f7
f7.
pawn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Knight g5, for example, in this exact position.
And there could also be some e5, e6 coming in the near future.
E5 is probably stronger, right?
But yeah, rook b7, rook a5 played Soumya. So I think you have just been predicting all the moves in this game.
I mean, I'm yeah, probably. So I'm just wondering if he's going to keep the a pawn with a3 or he's going to give it up. He might keep it also, no? The rook is well placed on b7.
Yeah, he might keep it, but here it should be quite okay for black, I think.
Yeah, yeah. It should be okay for
Just
black.
that he shouldn't play something like rook d7 because that would blunder into rook b8 and bishop h6. Rook d7 was my first instinct. No, Nihal just takes on e7 here,
Okay, he took on his son.
and now he goes for e5.
Yeah, e5. I was thinking knight d5 was forced. Then
Yeah, I also see
d5,
knight d5 happening, and now rook b7.
or maybe in rook d1. Rook d1 doesn't make sense.
Rook d1 also looking good.
Pinning and winning, perhaps. Maybe.
Yeah, knight d5 happened, and Nihal immediately playing rook b. Not immediately, he took 20 seconds, and he played rook b7. Rook d1 was also possible, but then black could potentially counter it with rook e1, I guess. Counter pin.
Right, and bishop h6 coming in on the next move.
Yeah. So rook b7 has been played. There's some pressure for black, but not a whole lot. But on the other hand, white is also completely safe, and it looks like we are going to go into the fourth game based on the events so far.
I think he knows that you are hungry, so just doesn't want.
It could very well be the case. Knowing Nihal, he just wants
You to work harder, yeah. Rook
he just
b7.
wants to deny me what I want.
Rook b7 on the board, and now maybe rook a1 again is a move to consider. Or rook e8.
He just went rook
Gets out
e8.
of the
Yeah.
pin. Gets out of the pin.
Now bishop b2 maybe. Yeah. Come on, Nihal. Come on.
Bishop b2 is a nice move, no? Idea e6. The idea is e6.
Yeah.
Oh, pretty.
Yeah.
He'll definitely play it.
Let's see. Apart from bishop b2, rook d1 is also. He goes bishop d2. Much more strategic move, controlling this knight. And meanwhile, I think we have an update in one of the matches between Kramnik and Melkomian. Not sure what happened, but I think Kramnik has won that match. Not sure what happened in the third game, but Kramnik is through to the next portion of this event, and Nihal will. Sorry, the winner of the Nihal. Sorry, Soumya.
Kramnik won 3-0 in that match. He won the third
game. What an impressive start. But this is exciting because I'm really rooting for Nihal Kramnik. And
in round 2, actually. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go, Nihal. Let's go. We want this.
I know. Absolutely. That would be such an exciting match to watch. Nihal against Kramnik. It would be such an exciting clash of generations, clash of style, and clash of the clocks. So many things.
Yeah, and especially to play against someone whom you've always looked up to, when your idols become your rivals. It's the best thing a player can ask for. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it would also be a very interesting benchmark. Kramnik is someone who's so strong that if Nihal is able to beat someone of that strength, I think that will be a very good feeling. But before that, he has to first get past Rauf. He's done a pretty good job so far, 1.5 and a nice position in the third game. But the clock situation is a bit worrying.
Yeah, and the match is still on. So, but definitely White has an advantage. Uh, yeah, Rook C1 looks like a good move here. H6 actually, um, it's a nice move that has been possible because of the previous move. Black played H6, and now Rook C1, Bishop E5 stuff doesn't ever work because the H6 pawn always hangs. Um,
Yes.
the small things that a player immediately notices, a player of Nihal's strength. G3, um, and
Yeah,
he's
and it's
waiting.
very nice how he's restricted black's pieces in this position. He has more space. Black's pieces feel very restricted. If he starts moving the A pawn, which is probably Rauf's intention when he went bishop f8 to get this pawn to A3, isn't there something here? Rook
B5,
b5 something.
he probably wants to play knight b4. Rook b5, knight b4 is the point. So he
So
plays
rook a7 played. I don't know. Nihal has 3 seconds, 2 seconds.
play fast. Nihal, rook a5, rook
Rook
d8,
d8. I don't like this pawn going to a3. This
knight
feels
b6,
bad.
knight b6, rook c6. It's still under control.
Yeah, but the pawn going to a3, getting lodged here, that is a sign of danger because that pawn is just too close to queening. And
That's
this bishop is a dark square bishop.
But we have rook d4 now. Next move, a3, rook d4. So black also has some things to worry about.
Absolutely. The kind of trick I would fall into if I was black.
Uh,
But
let's see.
Rof just taking a bit of time thinking. Maybe that's what Nihal calculated, Soumya. Maybe that's what he saw. Maybe he was going into this.
I mean, black still has, the variation continues after a3, rook d4, rook a1, for example, king g2, a2. But now the a2 pawn is so vulnerable, you can even play rook a4, for example. That's also a move. And just take the a2 pawn.
Yep,
So,
yep, 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 yep.
should be
Yeah,
okay.
this is a tricky decision for Roth. He goes for a3. Let's go. King g2, not rook d4. King
What?
g2.
Why? Why did he reject rook d4?
I don't know, but this is nervous for Nihal actually. For the first time in this match, Roth has some chances. For the first time in this match, it is getting a bit nervous for Nihal. And he goes for rook d4, a move later, the same sequence, the exact same sequence, but with the addition of king g2. I think the same thing would have been possible here also. Uh, like rook b2. Yeah, rook b2 is possible
Uh,
here also.
yeah, rook b2. But now
So,
bishop c3, no? But then rook c2, yeah, rook c2 is
yeah,
possible.
or rook b3. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
getting back to the live position, rook
Right.
d4, a2. Nihal has taken the a2 pawn, and we have liquidated into a safe endgame where Nihal is a pawn up. He's a pawn up. This is pretty close to a draw, Soumya, and computer will show you 0.00. But I remember Arjun winning a very similar endgame against Devashish. You remember that too?
No, I don't want. But I also feel like this is something that white has chances because, e6 and then this, you have a pass pawn at the end of the day. That's the main thing that you need in an endgame, a pass pawn. So you can always play on that. So I'm actually
Yeah.
optimistic because the king can go to g5 at some point if he gets a chance. It's not easy to defend this in such less time, or is it?
No, it's definitely challenging. It's not straightforward for black. It's not a dead draw.
You go to play.
And
Okay.
it's always annoying when your opponent can just play on forever without any risk. Uh, Also, as black, you understand Roth has to make survive this to take the match into the fourth game. So he's under all the pressure. Nihal trying to take his king to g5. Roth takes a defensive posture with a fifth rank cutoff. And now he'll start giving a check with Rook on the 6th rank. And Rauf feeling the pressure, he went down to just 1.7 seconds. Nihal giving a check, Rook a6 check, and e5 next coming. Maybe e5. Yeah, this is some serious pressure.
This is very serious pressure. Now e5 coming in. Oh, the
e5,
point is
Rook a4 check.
And king g5 is not possible because of rook g4 checkmate. So you have to come back.
Yeah.
Right. Oh.
But Nihal sacrificing the g3 pawn, going and advancing the e pawn. Now he'll start with e6, I think.
E6
go for it, go for it, go for it.
He doesn't like rook g4 probably. E6, rook g4.
Ah, yeah. But now just rook f. What?
What
happened? I think he was winning after rook f1. King d5, rook g4.
Yes, and e6, e7. Oh, that's.
And now this is a draw. He went for it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn, that was so close. His opponent is. So this was the moment.
Wow.
This was the moment. King d5, rook g4, and now I think this was too hard to see with less time though. And it's actually quite simply rook into g4, I guess. This was winning, yeah? Not rook f1. Yeah. This was winning. This was winning. Oh, this is so against the run of play.
Yeah, because
to
the king
go into the endgame.
F8 on time. So usually in this endgame for the chat, if the king was on, let's say, d7 in this position, let's imagine the king on d7. Yeah, then black simply goes king e8 or e7, and after king g6, black goes king f8, and he reaches the g8 square on time, and this is a draw. But since the king was on e5, white has opposition, so black won't reach the f8 square, and hence not the g8 square, and that's why it's lost.
Yeah. Such a close game, but once again, Soumya, Nihal has dominated 3 out of 3 games. 2 points to 1, a lead, but he has been on the upper side of all 3 games so far.
Yeah, definitely. He's totally in control, and I think he must be happy with this game also. I think he defended really well in time pressure. That position got really tricky in between with the pawn on a3. Anything could have happened, but he found all these good moves, and he found a good end game to get into. He definitely has the edge now, going in the last.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, Vignesh Subramanian in the chat, so good to see Soumya after long time. Indeed, it's been a long time, chat. Let's welcome Soumya with a lot of likes. Let's get it past 300 so more people can tune in. And Soumya, when was the last time you came on stream?
I did join you for the candidates, but I was not as a commentator. I was as a guest. But yeah, that was, if you have to ask me as a...
Even that is a very long time ago. The candidates was like, what, 3 months ago?
I think 2 months ago. I remember I was recovering from COVID. So I remember exactly which week of recovery it was. So
yeah.
I think but actually as a commentator, the last time it was, I think it's after a year. It's after a year I have done a commentary stream.
Wow.
It's my first time on Chesscom India. So yeah, unfortunately, we had some plans to do some candidate streams as well if it was possible, but I got sick with COVID and I couldn't keep my commitment. But I'm really happy to be back.
Yes, we are also happy to see you back, Soumya. Both I and the chat as well. But chat, better expression of it. About 5 minutes to go for the next game. Meanwhile, in the match between Ding Lijian against Lei Tuan Min, it is poised at 1.5, 1.5 at the end of 3 games. So it is going to go down the fourth game, and the winner takes it all. Ding Legend with the black pieces.
Nice. So very, very close fight in their match. Kramnik is through, and Nihal and Mamedov as well going into the last round with Nihal in the lead.
Yeah, and it feels good to see Kramnik go through like that. Kramnik's chess speaks for itself, and he started with a 3-0 win.
For sure, for sure. I'm also very happy to see Kramnik go through, and like now that you have like we have hyped up the Nihal Kramnik match so much, I'm really looking forward to it already. Let's go, Nihal. Let's crack it in this round, and next match we have it against Kramnik. Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also so looking forward to see that. And talking about Kramnik, the chronology, Vidit has always been a big fan of Kramnik's chess. And he used to follow his openings, he used to follow his style of play. And Nihal also has a similar style to Vidit. So I'm just curious to see how that will play out if it happens.
True.
We need more aggressive players like Soumya, says Parikshit. I agree.
Thank you. Thank you, Parikshit. So sweet. But I'm like not sort of labeling myself anymore. I mean, I've been trying not to do that for a long time, but recently I've been more conscious about it. Because I think if you sort of bracket yourself in one category, then uh, you sort of
Stereotype.
yeah, you sort of tend to go into those positions, like let's say on a subconscious level, and it might be better for, let's say, the position might demand for you to play positionally, for example, but you tend to always choose the aggressive option because in your head you're an aggressive player, right?
Right.
So that so I'm trying not to do that anymore.
Interesting. You get rid of your identity, the label, so you're free to make choices. It's like
Yeah.
the Zen theory of not filling your cup. So you're free to fill it with whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, you need to have strengths as a player or even as a person, but then you shouldn't be restricted. You shouldn't feel restricted by your labels. That's the point.
Absolutely. Absolutely agree with you. Ananta Krishna is asking if it is Nihal versus Kramnik today. It's not today, Ananta Krishna, and we are not even sure if it will happen. But we think it's likely to happen. Nihal leading 2-1, and if Nihal wins this match, then he will set up a match against Kramnik in the next round. So that is the knockout tree of this group, which is also labeled as Ding's group. But we are not sure if Ding will go to the next stage as well because it's been a thrilling match. It's 1.5, 1.5.
It's been very close. Yeah.
And again, it's a very interesting matchup between Ding and Lei Tuan, Lei Min Tuan, because Ding, one of the best players in the world, is playing the World Championship match next. And Lei Tuan is one of the best online players in the world. He's really good at online chess. He's very good at this 3+0 and 1+0. Also plays prominently in all the major events. He has had matchups against Magnus Carlsen, against Hikaru, and it's not taken for granted that he loses all the time. So he's very strong at this online chess. He's very strong in playing the faster time controls. And he's improved incredibly well, Soumya. Coincidentally, I just realized that I had played against him in a Blitz over the board tournament in Malaysia in 2016. Feels like such a long time ago, and I don't know if I have a video of that, but I'm sure someone had a video of it in 2016, and I would love to put out that video on my channel if I can get access to it. And talking about that, the round 4 has begun. This
Wow.
is the Ding game, and we also have the start of Nihal's game. Nihal sticking to his opening. Is it going to what is it going to be Marshall? I think he's going towards Marsh. Oh,
Think
5
so.
knight c3.
Oh, knight c3. Knight c3 is Rauf's idea for this match, I guess. Even in the Italian, he chose knight c3 and here as well. Okay, so d3, d6. Probably h3 or castle. Let's see what he has in mind.
Yeah, these setups like 5 knight c3 in the regular can be quite hard to deal with because people typically haven't prepared against such moves. But Sriram in the chat saying if Nihal gets to know Srinath is hungry, he's going to go for tie breaks.
It's possible. But no, we are rooting for the match to get over in this round with Nihal. Clinching it. Let's see how it goes. D3, D6, and okay, Rauf is already thinking, so he's probably just freestyling, yeah.
Yeah, it seems so, and it also seems like he didn't come into this match with that much of preparation. It's the younger kids are always, I think, just more motivated and spend more time on chess in general.
H6 on the board, so preventing bishop g5 and going for short castle is probably black's idea. If he had played castle immediately, then bishop g5 followed by the knight d5 pin, which we had seen in the this idea we had seen in the second game as well. This also can happen in this position. The structure is not that different from that game actually. Only the bishop is on a4 and not on c4, but it's going to come to b3 anyway. So
But no, the sides have been reversed. Last time Nihal had black and he had f into e6. He got his knight to f4. Now Nihal is with black and white will get his knight onto f5.
No, this bishop e3 idea, right? This was not seen in the second game. So so white is going to go for queen e1 and knight h4 like black did in that game.
Yep. It's a bit of a reverse, I guess. And black doesn't have a lot to worry about. I don't like the placement of this a4 bishop. This bishop is a bit out of the game. And it can also be prevented from coming into this diagonal if black stations the bishop on e6. But if bishop goes to e6, you have to watch out for d4. This can be potentially unpleasant for black. But apart from some of these concrete things, I think black has nothing to worry about out of the opening. Very nice and equal position. I think the only factor here is the psychological pressure on Nihal that if he loses this, it goes into the Armageddon. In terms of chess, it just Nihal has clearly been the better player today, and he also has a nice position.
He goes for knight e7, so he's allowing white to play knight h4, but then black gets d5 in. Is that the point?
d5, then you have to think of these things.
Yeah, but white doesn't have the dark squared bishop, so I was considering this to be okay for black.
Yeah, but then you can come rook f1, rook f3, rook g3. And white's pieces, I think they come a bit faster than black's. No, knight e7, knight h4, he just wants to go knight g6. White simply trade off.
Or maybe even bishop g4 first and then knight g6.
No, he's already played knight g6.
He's already played knight g6. Okay.
Yeah.
So he just wants to trade it and If white plays knight f5,
White plays knight f5, then maybe just come. No. Then knight into h6 check. This would be a blender. So, but I think maybe start with knight h7 and then try and take the knights anyhow.
knight h7 is nice. But still, I feel a little uncomfortable with bishop b3 coming in. But you can play bishop e6, right? You challenge the bishop.
Yeah. Yep. And knight f5 has been played by Rauf. It's on the board.
So white's idea is to play queen f3 next move and take on h6. Like, for example, if black does nothing in this position. So
yeah, one of the ideas, true.
So black, one idea is to play. Yeah, c6 was something I was looking at, but then I thought white will play queen f3. I wonder what's black's idea against queen f3. Now knight h7, is it?
Yeah, now you can go knight h7, defend. This is an option. Also, but the computer doesn't like it.
Yeah, why
So
doesn't
I'm
like
discouraged from playing it.
Yeah, but we don't know why he didn't like it. No, maybe there's no reason to not like it.
Isn't that enough reason? I understand something. So when you played c6, the d6 square has been weakened, and the game itself has moved along similar direction. White played bishop b3, bishop e6, and now queen f3, threatening knight into h6. And I can imagine that there are some situations where white goes queen to g3, and you cannot move this queen to protect. Like for example, knight h7, queen to g3, and now this d6 pawn is under pressure. So this is why knight h7 is struggling. And you can't defend with knight g5 also because that would be met with h4. So h7 is not the best optimal square for the black knight here. That said, Rauf has actually managed to achieve some pressure here. It's not so straightforward, this game.
It's not easy to defend, no? Actually, this is a very nice point which you showed, that the queen can't move. She's stuck to protect d6. And also, for example, here knight e8 would be an epic blunder of
So
sorts.
f8 is protected, no?
But I was wondering, like, maybe knight h6, gh, be6, fe, and queen g4. Nothing, yeah?
Queen g5.
Yeah, and queen e6, king g7.
Yeah,
king
and queen d7, there is queen e7.
No. Right, f8 is protected. But knight e8 is very passive, probably.
But it turns out it's the best move actually, because when we played knight 8, it stayed at 0.
We are supporting d6 because.
Yeah. But a difficult move to make from a practical sense. Let's see what Nihal does. Knight 8 is difficult from a practical sense, but it would be such a strong move to play. It's difficult because this knight on f5 is just annoying you after that. And as a human, you don't want to allow that white knight on f5 to stay for too long.
But the problem is, I mean, actually, it's not. It's a good problem to have. That black doesn't have too many other options. So
right.
it's a good problem to have, that you reach knight e8 by elimination, because knight d7 runs into knight d6, and knight h7 ran into the variation we saw earlier. So yeah, queen g3 was the problem. Bishop e6 is the threat. So, and if let's say black,
he's gone king h7.
Knight h6. I thought that was the problem. No, kya?
Maybe you can just take on h6.
Bishop e6.
Because after queen h3, there's knight h5.
And then g4, queen h4.
Yeah, g4, queen h4.
Pretty. Nice.
So
Brave.
king h7 was played, and now knight e2 has been played. Still things under control. And one of the typical ideas to play against this knight on f5 is to play king h7 and then knight to g8. This is quite thematic. And then it becomes easier to neutralize this knight. So first, Nihal takes out the light square bishop. I think good decision. The less pieces there are, the more closer we get towards a draw. And now there are some options for black. He can move, yes, knight e8. Very nice prophylactic move. And now knight h4 is a threat. And the more pieces Nihal trades, the closer it goes towards simplification, the closer towards a draw.
Also, I had once studied some Karpo games. The knight on g7 with the king castled is a very good defender. So in the future, if we get, let's say, we exchange the g6 square knight with the f5 knight, and the other knight comes to f5, we play g6 and put a knight to g7, and we defend everything.
Interesting.
So I mean,
That's
this
a
useful move.
That's a pretty interesting piece of information. And Karpo was an excellent defender.
Yeah. So
how does White keep the initiative going? Soumya, this is your field of expertise. How to continue that?
I like how Black has defended. He has not created any new weaknesses for himself, and at the same time managed to protect everything. So queen h3 on the board. He's probably going to play rook f3, rook g3, right?
Yeah, probably.
Or rook f3, rook f1 is another option. Rook f3 double.
And also he had to prevent this knight h4 simplification. So he just needs to keep the knight on f5. As long as he keeps the game going, he's going to get chances, because Black will be short of time very soon. So let's say they play 10-15 more moves, then Black will be, Nihal will be at about a minute or so. No, I mean, I'm not just making fun of Nihal, but no, the position is challenging. So you have to think and play good moves.
No, but I'm wondering if Black can simply play d5 here, or is it too much?
I think you can play d5 here. Looks completely okay to me. But
not to the computer.
Computer also doesn't mind it so much.
Doesn't mind it.
No, but the thing is, White keeps the game going, like rook a d1, like nothing, no immediate simplification is happening. And when your opponent wants a draw, I think you just try to keep the game going as long as possible, because they're anxious to simplify, take the game towards a draw. And if you just keep putting it out of their reach, there is a higher chance that they might make a mistake in that pursuit of finding something that doesn't exist.
Yeah, valuable advice there. So, but I don't see what else Black can do here. Like Black can't be too passive. Black needs to create some threats at least. Maybe a5 is a move preventing b4. Like Black needs to gain some space, no?
True.
It's too passive otherwise. Maybe d5 followed by a5 is also an option. d5, but then
d5 d5 I think is a very practical and natural move. I quite like d5. Also, it's also an option to consider something like knight to e7, no? And ask White how he will. Sriram is asking knight g3, knight into h6, knight f5. Is that possible? It is possible, Sriram, but very likely to be prevented by Black.
It's a nice suggestion. Like at least the idea is very creative, and also For example, imagine black doesn't do anything at all and white gets to play all the moves. So knight h6, gs6, knight g3, knight f5. And if we defend it with queen g5, white also plays rook f3 and rook g5. It's a nice way to create something.
Right.
Very creative.
Right.
Queen b6 plus knight f4 for Nihal was suggested but then retracted by Ananta Krishna. Why?
Also an interesting suggestion, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm wondering why he retracted it. What did he
But okay,
say?
knight f4 it just loses a pawn, so that's not a good follow up.
Hmm. No, but
Nihal
b4
has made his move, by the way, is blended. Oh no, I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry. The evaluation bar
Bar has
got me there.
blundered. The bar has blundered.
Yeah, the bar is slow.
Hey, but I'm wondering, queen g5, what's the idea? Abhi rook f3 khela to? Oh, he wants
Yeah,
to play knight. No, sorry. What?
were you thinking knight e7?
I was thinking knight f6 and rook g3, queen h5, but then knight d6 is hanging. Not
Yeah,
right now. I mean,
just knight d6 here.
yeah, even here, or you will take and
But
play
here there's rook d8 and rook d3.
and rook
So it's a legit suggestion.
f5, no? But over here
Queen g4.
it goes on, yeah. Queen
Yeah,
g4,
queen
knight
somehow finds these squares. So it's actually, in fact, his intention. He played rook f3, knight f6. And now rook a f1 played by Rauf.
so dangerous though. I mean, for example, d6 is constantly hanging. Now knight h6 is a threat. Now knight
Yeah,
d6 and knight h6 both are a threat.
yeah. Now it's actually getting very, very dangerous for Nihal. This queen g5 knight f6 feels so wrong. And the evaluation bar also has uh,
This was a
it's
very
also
responsible. I think he felt that his position was very passive and he wanted to get the queens exchanged. That was his thinking.
yeah, it's understandable, but he's got the queen trapped here. He's got the queen trapped here, and this d6 pawn is a massive problem. Somehow the c6 earlier, which Nihal played, I think in hindsight that
Not.
caused black a lot of problems.
Hmm.
It's also a very interesting way of showing as white how you can get something out of a setup like this. It looks all innocuous, but there's a lot to play even in symmetrical positions like this.
Yeah, cost of one move is so high, in these games. You make a small error here and there, and your opponent just catches you.
Yes, and these players are very dangerous. Some of the best players in the world. Also, the Azerbaijan style of play is very inclined towards the initiative. They're very good at direct attacks against the king. They're very good at creating chances, which is usually not so easy for others to see. Let's have every variation. The problem in the end is the d6 pawn, like queen h5, there's knight d6, and the difference between this and the variation which we earlier saw with uh, queen g5, rook f3, knight f6. Yeah, the problem is not knight into d6 but rook f1. Rook f1 was a very strong move, which
Yeah.
was potentially underestimated or missed by Nihal. Maybe he just saw rook g3 and knight into d6 just like us.
Yeah. I guess queen h5 runs into knight g7 as well. But
Oh yeah.
maybe that's more tolerable after queen h3 pawn into knight e4.
Yeah,
Maybe
also, but what do you intend after king g7? Yeah.
Oh, I thought rook f6, but you have queen into e2, huh?
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
nice play. And
even
then
even even this is
queen d6.
dangerous, but white can regain the piece with takes and g4.
Yeah, this is cleaner.
Yeah,
Even rook f5 actually. And then knight on h5
sorry.
is. No, it's okay. In the last
Yeah,
position, even the rook to f5 and the knight on h5 would have been trapped.
he has played queen h5. We were. Let me just get that. Yeah, we are. Yeah, rook f5 also. Queen h5 happened on the board, Soumya. After a long think, once again, Nihal spent close to 4 minutes here. And Rauf has an option. He can take knight into g7. He has several good options. At the very least, he can take on d6. He can just take this. He can take d6. In this case, he's allowing rook d8, rook into d3 though.
Hmm.
And
No,
but
this
at the
would be
end, white will have more pawns.
but this would be compensation, no? Because after rook d8, knight f7, rook d3, b3 is hanging, e3 is weak, knight f6 is the next move.
Yeah. There are a lot of ways to mess up as white here. Options is the enemy of accuracy, and knight d6, rook e d8. Here, white has a few options. It happened on the board. Rook d3, knight c3. Rock playing fast and confident though, and this knight b7, knight c3 is super strong. f7 is hanging now, and after knight c5, a6 will also hang. So completely better position for white, and Roth is just not hesitating at all. He knows he's in this with a chance, with a
Yeah,
better
really
chance.
nice. Yeah, nice move. Knight c3 over there. I guess knight f6 is sort of forced. We need to get our knight back into the game. Knight c5 will be followed by rook d2. Um,
Rook f2.
and just like play this position as black.
Yeah, but again, the problem is there will be an outside passed pawn, and yeah, but black has to go for this. Black has to go for this and try and resist.
Or you know what? Or for rook f2, we or have some chances after rook f d8, let's say, in that position.
Yeah, rook f8, knight
And now
a6,
knight g4. And we take,
takes.
and
Yeah,
now we
this
have
is some
knight.
counter play.
Huh. We have some counter. And now rook b2 is hanging. Oh, maybe knight d1 just protects it all. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
knight h4.
but
No, no, no.
again,
Huh.
yeah,
Knight
yeah, yeah,
h4,
yeah,
knight
yeah,
h4.
yeah.
Castra's knights.
This is exactly the direction in which the game is heading. Rook f2 has been played. Rook d8 will probably.
I'm
Oh, rook
sure
d8
he'll
does
play
knight d5. Knight d5 doesn't work. It's a blender.
rook f2, no? Rook
Just
f2.
rook f2
Knight
and rook
f6,
into
rook
f6. Yeah.
f6. Hmm.
But Nihal takes rook into f2 first.
Hi.
I don't know why.
Maybe he's okay. It's fine.
I
Let's
think
see.
he's
See
given
how
up mentally. Now rook d6.
rook d6, knight e7, no? I'll protect everything.
Yeah, and then just play king e2, I think.
I mean, white is better only, but uh, yeah, I mean, rook f2 was not at all required. I think he just felt a lot of pressure.
Yeah, not his best game.
It's okay.
It's
Let's
quite
see.
understandable though. The fourth game, the crunch game under pressure, where you have to hold as black, I think it's not at all easy.
So rook b8 and Rauf has 7 minutes on the clock. He's taking his time. King E2.
Yeah, Rauf has a lot of time, and
Knight
he
F8
doesn't
now.
look under pressure. Knight F8 and now Rook D6, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes for it.
Yeah, this is unfortunate.
Yeah, knight a6, knight a4. This was the point. Nihal tried to get access to these pawns, and Rauf just prevents it by bringing his knight. Still a few technical details for white to solve here. Nihal
Yeah,
going after the e4 pawn.
yeah, because King D3, I guess his idea is Knight G4 and
Yeah,
Knight 2 and take on E4 anyway. So that's his plan. But the king will be very active on C4. Let's say Rook C6, Knight F2, King C4, and White has a commanding position.
yeah, you can do this, or you can also um, take on c6, no, and some rook b6 now. Yeah, he has taken on c6. Not rook b6 there though.
He's
And
thinking.
the thing with having so less time, 10 seconds, is that even if white gives a chance, it won't be easy to take it. I don't think he'll take knight into e4 here. Maybe just rook a6 directly.
But I'm wondering if I can play Rook D8. Then you play Knight D3, is it? Rook
Ah,
A6,
yeah, rook.
D8, Knight
Yeah,
D3.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh
That's
no,
one
he's
idea.
taken. He's taken. And now Knight B6. So he wants to go to D3 with his king, maybe. F5. Rook E6 is not possible. Knight C5, maybe. Or even Knight G5. So,
Just start bringing the no. Actually, I don't. It shouldn't be such massive advantage, no. +5.
+5? What?
Oh, you're
What
not
is.
seeing the evaluation bar?
No, I wasn't. I just noticed it. Okay. B4, AB, AB, probably.
Yeah, now the bar has rook bar has, I think, become more realistic. But rook d8 was in counterplay. I think rook b7 I don't like so much, which happened in the game because
He
now this
doesn't
rook
like,
has no future.
he doesn't like Knight C4. That's why he played Rook B7. Yeah,
Right.
but you're right. But you're right. Rook B7, King D3, no? And white will just bring the king and protect the B4 pawn and move his knight.
Yeah, that looks like the direction of how whites play. Now he plays rook d8. No, I think
Ouch.
the thing is Nihal simply doesn't have enough time. He has too little time to uh, calculate anything. And now rook c7 incoming, b7 incoming, and this king also goes to c2 and protects the b2 pawn. King to d3, king c2. Yeah, the king goes to c2, and then rook c7, b7, and it's game over. Also, this knight d6 now. Knight d6, rook d4, king c3, and b7. The queening will be unstoppable.
He plays Rook C7. So maybe B7 next move. Now B7.
b7, yeah, b7, because knight c5, there is rook into c5. So
Yeah.
he has played b7.
Rook B4 and now maybe Knight A5. Okay, B3. Yeah, now Knight E5, Knight C6 is the point. No, he's fighting.
Yeah, he's fighting, and something like king d3 can be met with rook into b7. This is one of the tricks.
Hmm. That's a nice trick. So he's probably going to play like knight a5 and support the pawn.
He went king b2,
Oh,
h5,
he wants
king
to bring
e3.
it from a4, but even there rook b7, yeah. That
Yeah,
breaks
even here
the
rook
lock.
b7. The
No,
last trick.
he played b4, yeah.
Yeah, after b4, Nihal just couldn't find a move. He goes f3, which is he's just throwing a move in, and now he resigns.
It's okay. We have Armageddon. It's okay. The match is tied, and we go into Armageddon now. And the good part is here Nihal also gets to bid for the time. So maybe he bids. What
Yeah,
do you
this will be
think?
interesting.
What do you think? He'll opt to take black or white first of all?
I
What
think
do you?
white.
I also think he'll take white. Maybe chat can try and guess.
Yeah.
Maybe this can
Meanwhile,
be
what happened in the
third question.
Ding, the other game, the Ding late one, man?
Um, Ding one. Ding is through.
Oh,
Ding
so Ding is through along with Kramnik.
nice.
And in the matchup between Nihal and Rauf, Nihal is the higher seeded player. A single rapid Armageddon game with bidding will be played, and each player privately communicates the amount of time they are willing to play black. The player with the lower bid gets black with draw odds, and the other one gets white with 15 minutes. So in this case, I'm just thinking Nihal might go for a bid of like about 13 or 12 minutes.
So you think he'll opt to take black?
I think he would prefer white, but he also can't go too below.
Mm-hmm.
15 minutes is a lot of time.
I have a
And
feeling that if he bids as black, he'll take maybe like 7-8 minutes. Like if he wants to take black, because then his aim is very clear, and he also gets black. I mean, his aim is clear that he wants to make a draw, so he doesn't have that confusion in his head, keep whether I'm playing for win or draw, and he just bids for a lower time so that he definitely gets black. But if he wants to take
and
white, then I think he'll just bid like maybe 14 minutes, or like a higher time as white, as
and
black.
your point is Nihal is going to go down to like 7-8 minutes anyway after the first 10 moves. So why not just start with it?
No, that's not what I meant. I just felt like if he has clarity as to what he's aiming for, he'll probably choose his opening accordingly, and like I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's a good, like, one good strategy to have. Like, just take black and take lesser time. You definitely take black in that case. Anshika is saying Nihal will win the bid. Sri Ram Chakradev is saying Nihal takes black with 9 minutes.
Yeah, let's
Um,
explain the Armageddon rules one more time for people who are just joining in. And
mhm.
chat, do hit that like button. Let's get it past 350. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, so more people can tune in. Nihal needs all the positive energy and support we can provide for this Armageddon match.
So the Armageddon rules are that basically both the players make a secret bid for the to the arbiter, and white gets 15 minutes flat out, while black can make a choice. So let's say black, one player can choose for 14 minutes, and like the other player can choose 13.50. So the player with the lower time, bidding for the lower time, 13.50, will win the bid, and he'll get black with that many minutes on his clock. with no increment. So if you have clarity as to what you're aiming for, you can actually bid for a lower time with black so that you are more likely to win the bid. While if you want white, then you just bid a higher time so that you are more likely to get white.
That's fantastically explained. People are asking if we can't see the bidding live. People, it's a private bidding, so only uh, the arbiter will be able to see it live, and all of us, the rest of us mortals, shall wait for the results of the bidding to be out before we know what is going on.
What have you
And
played many Armageddon, Srinath? I remember you playing one in MCL.
yeah,
Uh,
that's my only one actually.
right. That was against Adiban.
Yeah,
Setu
that was against Adiban. Yeah, that
Adiban.
was against Adiban.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember.
that's the only Armageddon. And traditionally, Armageddon was 5 versus 4, 5 minutes for white and 4 for black. And I always felt that it's easier to take black because, um, I didn't feel that the 1 minute odds was too much because very often people spend that amount of time just in the opening. It gets equalized pretty fast. But draw odds was like a big thing. And therefore, I felt it's easier to play with black in Armageddon. It's a big responsibility to try and hit with white. But Nihal has just lost with black here, so he would definitely prefer a change where he can just go in and beat up his opponent.
Yeah, I'm also actually thinking that taking white is probably a good idea for Nihal, especially in this match because he's been so dominant with white. And it's not like his, as we were discussing in the previous match as well, that it's not like Mamedov has come into the match with some special preparation. So he's just playing some of his regular openings, and Nihal must have checked something against each of them while preparing for the game. So he can just go and play that and play with confidence with white rather than get into some kind of passive position with black if that's what is playing on his mind.
Right. And I think the players have just made their bid privately. I think so. And also, some of the questions in the chat asking what happens if both of them bid 15 minutes, then the higher rated player gets their bid. So, in that case, the higher rated player gets black or white.
They get to choose. They get to choose the color.
So, they would then choose black, no? Because if it's 15 minutes each, then you might as well get draws, no?
That's actually not been specified that if the bid is tied, then how much time black gets in that case.
It would be in accordance with the bid, right? If it is equal, if the bid is equal, what is the wording? If the bid is equal, if the bid is tied, or if the bid is same, then what is the wording? Then
The
the higher
wording is
rated
if the
player.
bid is tied, the higher seeded player chooses the color, but there is no
Ah,
like
yeah. So it will be
the
in accordance with the bid. So if they have both bid for 7 minutes, then the higher rated player chooses the color. And if it's the same, if it's 15 minutes also, if they have both bid for 15 minutes, then again the higher rated player chooses the color. But the time will be the same, I think, 15 versus
Oh,
15.
that doesn't make sense. How
Yeah, it
can
just
it
gives
be
a lot of
15
advantage for the higher rated player, I think.
No, but it can't be 15 versus 15, right? I think the
It ha-
time must be like they must have decided on a different time if the bid is the same and both the players bid exactly for 15 minutes. Otherwise, of course, 14. I mean, they must have decided on 14 minutes or 13 minutes, something like that for black.
that is not specified anywhere, no, in the rule book.
It hasn't. There is a larger rule book. I'm going through the briefer version actually. So,
Acha.
okay, let me just check. Since we have some time, maybe I can check.
Yeah. If we
Um,
have any doubts in the rule book, you just ask a lawyer. Devrup says, I think he should take white. Rauf in low time, maybe what you want. Yeah, the bidding is for black. Yeah, you bid for the time you're comfortable with as the black pieces. That's the.
Yeah, there is no.
It is so confusing, right? It reminds me of this game in Friends called Bamboozled. Let's play Bamboozled. Oh, interesting. So we have a confirmation. So Nihal plays with the black pieces, right? Yeah, and Nihal will start with 11 minutes and Roth will start with 12 minutes. Interesting. So we are going to get the start of the game really soon. Chat again. Let's get those likes going. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Let's get as much support as we can for Nihal. Nihal will take the black pieces again. Roth 12 minutes, Nihal 11 minutes, and no increment this time. So any amount of flagging is going to be acceptable here, and there will be no. Nothing against any flagging. It's going to be no increment and 12 minutes versus 11. Now, as we have more and more games of Armageddon, we will understand better how this works. But for now, it's totally like this episode in Friends. It's just bamboozled. And I just hope that by the time we understand the rules, the same format still stays in place.
Oh, oh, okay. So if the bidding is tied, then like if both players bid for the same time, then there is a repeat bidding. It's not like the higher seeded will get. I think they have made some changes now, and probably the same was communicated to the players before the match. It's just that uh, it's the first round, so we are also getting to uh, witness some new things in this match. Actually, it's the first time I have even seen this concept that you can bid for the time, because usually, as Sheena pointed out, the Armageddon matches are always 6 minutes for white and 5 for black with draws for black. So this is the first time such a time format is being experimented with. So we'll get to see how it works.
Yep.
As far as I understand, white is definitely getting 15 minutes, while black gets the time he bids for. That's what I understand of the rule.
Yeah, based on the wordings you communicated, and we have the game started.
Oh,
The
okay.
game has started, and Nihal will have the black pieces. Yes, e4, e5 once again. Oh, it is 15 minutes for Rauf and 11 for Nihal. So, chat, apologies. Wrong once again. Um, it is 15 minutes for white, 11 for black. This is the time odds we have. So, it's a 4-minute time odds. And once again, Rauf going for an offbeat setup. But I have a feeling that Nihal will play faster this time. And therefore, his moves will be better because there will be less hesitation.
Makes sense. So knight b2 on the board. The white's idea is to go knight f1 and knight g3, bishop d2, probably long castle. These are his ideas here. What is black doing? Maybe black plays queen d7 in this position and waits for white to decide.
No, he
He's
also
not.
goes knight g6.
Okay.
Knight e7, knight g6. I think 4 minutes is a lot of time advantage.
Yeah, I also feel so. I mean, I'm feeling the pressure here. But he obviously was mentally ready for it, right? That's the reason he bid that time. So
I am not sure. I think he kind of thought during. I think he kind of thought during the bidding. I mean, when he was explaining the rules. Knowing what I know about Nihal, I'm not sure if he would have prepared so much in advance. What am I going to do if it gets to Armageddon?
okay.
And especially after he got the lead, I'm pretty sure that was the last thing on his mind.
Okay. So knight g3 on the board, and knight f5 is white's next move. G7 will be attacked. So do we need to? Can we just play queen d7 here, for example? If knight f5, rook g8, does this stuff work?
I don't like this so much because now there's no clear place for the king. So, but having said that, then your question will be like, then where is the king going to go anyway, right? If you can't castle so easily on the king side, which is not advisable because of pawn coming to g5, then where does the king go? And he goes for queen d7, knight f5. He goes Soumya. You have predicted all of Nihal's moves today.
I hope it's a good thing, Srinath. I really hope it's a good thing.
Me too. But the evaluation has gone a bit towards white's favor here. 0.6 for white. And to clarify on the earlier confusion, apologies chat. Nihal bid for 11 minutes and Rauf bid for 12 minutes. And Nihal won that bid because he quoted the lower time. So that is why he starts with 11 and Rauf started with 15 with the white pieces.
Knight e7. I was thinking black will play queen c6. So that if white long castles, we have stuff like b4 coming in. But okay, knight e7.
Yeah, actually, queen c6 would have been a good move, it seems. Nihal just wants to get rid of this monstrous knight.
So can white long castle is one question. Another question is, can white play h4? No, g4 is hanging. So maybe rook g1?
Interesting. Rauf with the early advantage though, no? He has a bit of advantage on the clock, close to 5 minutes. And he also has the kind of position he wants, some kind of a fighting position.
Yeah, but black is okay. I mean, see, if white plays rook g1, for example, okay, white has taken bishop b6, pawn into queen e3, and he's going to play against what? He's going to, if I play queen c6 here, for example, what is the point?
He plays queen c7.
Okay.
And d4. This is why you wanted queen c6, yeah? You wanted an eye on the
I wanted to
e4
keep
pawn.
e4 attacked so that he doesn't get d4 in.
Now it's interesting as black to just take on f5 maybe. Takes bishop b3, a b3. But now I was hoping for long castle, but now I see rook into a6. So this is not a good structure for black.
Rook e6, the game continues, no? But long castle, you can even take e5 and then take on e6. No. But I mean, in the line you showed, did you take on d4 already, or you kept the pawn on e5?
I kept the pawn on e5.
Yeah, because like
yeah, maybe long castle is possible. Yeah, rook a6, there's queen b7.
Right. But I was wondering if white can take pawn into pawn first, and then
take rook a6. Yeah, possible. We might be moving towards this because this is what is happening. Knight into f5 has been taken by Nihal, and I do expect gf5. I'm not sure if he'll go long castle here though. It just looks risky. Why are you giving up the pawn as black? Maybe a5. I don't know. I don't know what black would play here. I would you maybe I guess you're a better guesser
I was thinking
of
queen
Nihal's
c6.
moves.
I don't know. Queen c6 even now attacking e4. If you play d5, I go queen c5.
Yeah, d5 feels wrong.
Right.
Um, d5 feels wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's taken e into f5.
What? But now it gives up the d5 square.
Yeah, Nihal goes for e4 and d5, so he's kept the position closed,
Looks
which is a
amazing.
good thing for Nihal.
I love black's position now. I think Nihal must be feeling great about his position. Or white c4 is problematic at some point, is it?
Yeah, there are some resources for white still, I think, but c4 maybe takes and he's gone for castle, by the way. White has gone for castle now. So the big question mark for black is where does he get his king out? This is a difficult question to answer, and keeping the king on e8 for too long, it just doesn't feel good. So king on e8 is a problem for us.
I was really thinking of g6 here, but I wouldn't go for it since black only needs a draw. But one option for sure, like black would consider, is that g6, queen h6, and now we either play king e7, like a simple move, or with the idea to play rook h8 and all of these things, and gf5 as well. Or we can also consider knight g4 directly.
Yeah, Nihal might go for g6 or even g5 here, I think. He has to try and get counterplay at some side. And the thing with g6, you have to get counterplay against white's king. Otherwise, it just gets one-sided. Either he has to find a safe place for his king, somehow jump the king to h7, which is legally not possible. So in this case, I think he has to then try and do the other way. And for white, the disadvantage is he can't get f3 in, which he would love to because there's queen g3 check at the moment. So he will try to break with f3 if given a couple of moves. And once he breaks open with f3, white will have access to black's king. Long castle is not really an option. So I think Nihal really needs to try and go for active counterplay here.
Yeah, here king d7 and g6 were, I think, are the only two, and g5, as you mentioned, are the three possibilities. But I really like g6 because, or king d7 more, because we have this option of gf5 and just opening up the position in front of.
Yeah, Abhinav Gupta has an interesting suggestion. He wants to put king e7, rook e8, and king f8,
Oh,
which is
wow.
also, I think, very legit.
Yeah. Nice suggestion, Abhinav. Somehow I'm only looking at sacrifices, and I think Nihal as well. Do you think he's looking at
Yeah,
sacrifices?
when
Because
you pointed out, I think you and Nihal think very similarly.
he played king f8.
Yeah, now the question is how he gets this rook into the game.
He wants to play g5, I guess.
Yeah, but this just feels so dangerous to me. Black's position feels super dangerous. Maybe he was aiming against c4. So knight into e4, he wanted rook e8. But then there's queen e3, so this doesn't really work. And what if white just takes knight into e4? Maybe did he miss queen a3 check?
It's possible to miss it.
Yeah.
Does he want to play knight d5, knight d4, knight d5, queen a3, queen e7, this stuff?
Sorry, when?
Does he want to go knight d5 with for knight e4? And queen e7 now, and well, knight d6. Knight d6 is still possible with the idea to play knight c4. Actually, I missed
Yeah.
knight e4.
You missed what?
I missed knight
Knight
c4.
c4.
Yeah.
But yeah, knight into e4 has happened in the game. And
Yeah, slightly. Yeah, this is uncomfortable for sure for black. Like knight into e4, queen e4 is something that black will surely consider. But then a8 rook is hanging, a6 pawn is hanging if we move the rook from the a file. C4 pawn is weak. King on f8 is very oddly placed. So yeah,
yeah, and Nihal is getting perilously low on time, but this time he won't have any increment also.
he took on e4.
Yeah, he doesn't like his position. It just this rook on g8 is just so out of the game. This rook needs to be on d8, and it's very easy play for Rauf.
Queen a3? Queen d6.
Queen d6.
Right. So he's going to double on the e file. What do we
Yeah,
have?
he's going to double on the e file. We need the rook to get into the game, and I don't see how that's happening.
Can we play g5?
Yes,
Yeah,
he has to. That was like oxygen. But Soumya, what if white just plays rook e1 here? The thing is, king g7, there's always f6 check. And rook e7 incoming.
Yeah, it's slightly disheartening only this position, but okay, we need to breathe. First, we need to open the window, then we'll think what to do if the troops come.
Good one.
So g5 has been played, rook a1, I guess just king g7.
King g7, there's f6 check, no?
Oh, we don't need to start with king g7. We can start with queen d6.
Yeah, I guess you have to start with queen d6.
Queen d6, and then if f6, rook g6. So this is manageable. Actually,
yeah,
this is
here f6, rook e1 played, queen d6 played. This is the live position we have. And here f6 is a bad move because the pawn is lost. White has to come up with something stronger.
Right. Here, rook e6 stuff doesn't work for the chat. Okay, first of all, queen d4 is also hanging, but fe6 is just easier because fe6, king g7 first, queen f6, queen f7, sorry, and we go king h8. And this is
also good for white. E7 and rook e6.
Oh my god, I missed that.
But Rauf goes for queen c3, king g7, and queen into c4. This is good for Nihal. He has solved some of his major problems, and now he has to cover this e7 square. But Soumya, 2 minutes without increment. He's just taken too much time, and that is the major issue in this position for black. Actually, white doesn't even need to do a lot here, He just has to keep the game going for another 20-30 moves. Keep posing problems for black such that he has to think a bit. He doesn't even need to win on game anymore. This is a different kind of game now. And I don't remember in the Norway chess as well. White was winning a lot of games somehow. The trend had changed, and having time has become. People have just become very good at flagging, I guess.
That's a side effect of online chess, which they can also count as a strength now in these games. Queen b5,
But the
rook f.
position has stabilized. That's a good thing. The position has stabilized,
Yeah,
and Nihal can play really fast if required. If it goes to a situation where he has to make a straightforward draw, then he can play really fast. He can really accelerate. So I think he will be pumped here. He will go to his bullet mode.
yeah,
You can see
yeah. I
Nihal
think
starting to play those moves in like 1 second.
yeah. I mean, all of those bullet sessions are definitely going to come useful right now. Abhi nahi to kabhi nahi. So rook d6, rook d8. I mean, these are some um, natural maneuvers in this position. Then you, if he supports d4, you also go to d5. You push h5. White has a lot of weaknesses, and that's why black's play is not that difficult. It's just that he needs to play it very fast. All of these moves can't take too much time.
Yeah, can't take too much time. Abhinav Gupta, meanwhile, asking, I don't understand if Rauf bid for 12 and Nihal for 11, then shouldn't Rauf get 12? No, I think the rule book is pretty clear that White gets 15 minutes. It was I who mixed it up. And once again, apologies for that. But the rule book is pretty clear that White gets 15 minutes. Meanwhile, Nihal is really back into this game, Soumya. He's attacking the d4 pawn, and it's going towards a situation where the time he has, 2 minutes, is pretty manageable for Nihal. It's kind of his everyday routine.
Yeah, and can white even defend the d4 pawn? The only move is d5, no? I don't see another move.
Yeah, but d5 is just buying time. It gets lost in 2 more moves.
I mean, p3 here, and you attack another black pawn.
Yeah, true. But also, this position is also a draw, yeah?
Yeah, but I actually don't see another move. Like, what do you play for rook c4? And Rauf Mamedov, look at him. He's lost his confidence. Just look at him. He's shaking his head. He's not
Yeah,
even.
because he had such a dominating position. He was just winning completely. And it's messed up for White now. It's totally messed up. And also, Nihal's someone who can defend this position with 2 minutes, even without increment. Like against a lot of people, you would think, okay, I'm just going to flag this guy. But against Nihal, it's not so easy.
Right, that's true. And here, just maybe rook b3, even h5 is a move.
H5, yeah. I felt he was going for H5. And now black is starting to get better.
Rook b3 maybe, yeah?
Rook d8. Oh, I didn't want to take Hg4 because there are some nice mating nets with the H4 checkmate. Rook d8, the point is rook e7, there's rook d1 check and rook into b2.
Mm-hmm.
Now the game is going really fast. The tempo has sped up quite a bit, and Nihal's going to start looking for these forcing draws. He's going to activate his rooks. He's going to go towards White's king. He's going to find these forcing draws, and the tide has really changed towards Nihal's side.
Yes, even rook d4, rook b4 is a very good maneuver here, just attacking b2. And if White's rook can never move from the second rank, because the pawn on b2 needs to be defended. Actually, yeah, and let's see the time. Mamedov has come down to 4.5 minutes, but Nihal only has 1 minute 15 seconds. So that's the only place.
Yeah, now Rauf's only hope is to try and flag Nihal, and rook e7, rook f8, I think. Oh, rook b2 check, and now rook f8. And now it's time to start pushing the a pawns.
b5,
A pawn.
or a4. Achha.
Yeah, rook c6 check. So the thing is, if rook c6 check, just king g7, and if he takes this, then the black rook comes to a8. So he goes for rook a7. He wants to take this first. There are still some tricks to navigate for black.
We can play b5, no? Oh no, he didn't.
Just goes rook b4 because I think he doesn't want to allow the access of these kings of these rooks here. There are some rook c6, rook g6 check. Nasty ideas on the sixth rank.
That was a nice idea. So actually, that's what he's trying for. He wants to play rook d6 check, king g7, rook g6. So, but white. I mean, what can white do if rook d6, king e5, right?
Yeah, Nihal calculates a bit and plays b5. 30 seconds to go. This is a lot even for Nihal. Rook b2.
Wow.
Oh man, this is a lot even for Nihal, I think. Rook g6 check was the threat. Nihal goes king g8.
But Nihal's so sharp, man. He saw all of it.
Oh, he sees rook c8, rook c2. It could be a mating net for white. Rook c2 and rook g2 coming. I don't see how white prevents it. And Nihal has 20 seconds. This is the game-changing moment in this match.
Yeah,
and Nihal saw it instantly.
His rooks can't go back.
Yeah, there's no way to prevent it, Soumya. He's 20 seconds. Rook c2, go Nihal, go.
Rook c2.
Rook c1.
Okay. But maybe rook h2, yeah?
Doesn't matter. There is a...
rook h2, rook g1 and rook b3 maybe. Oh.
Yeah, he just takes it, he comes back, and now the a-pawn queens. Now you'll see Nihal pre-moving like a pro and making use of his 15 seconds to the maximum extent. Now we see all those years of bullet chess and ultra bullet coming in. Still not so easy. Rook g1, preventing king g4. 8 seconds to go for Nihal. And the f-pawn queens now. The f-pawn queens. 8.2 seconds. Lot of time for Nihal, I think. And even a draw works. So even stalemate doesn't matter here. Lot of checks from Rauf. King c5. He just has to take this rook and he will have a draw guaranteed. Queen f4 check, queen g4. Queen f2, queen g2, queen g4. Yeah, queen g2, queen g4 pre-mode already. Queen h2, queen f4. Okay, fine. Yes. Nihal has done it, guys. Nihal OP in the chat.
Oh God, Nihal, such a champion, dude. You got it. What a game. This was such a thriller.
I know. This was such a thriller. Rauf had it. He had it completely in his hands. And the mistake was that he tried to flag Nihal. And you can't just flag Nihal like that. That's like making a plan to go to Mordor.
This was so epic. Nihal Sarin in his element, showing exactly why he has spent all those nights playing bullet chess. Nihal,
I know. Come on, chat. Let's go, Nihal OP. What a game! What a performance! What a win! Soumya, look how calm he was in all those scrambles. Like every single, he took his time. He saw rook c8. That was a game-changing moment. For a moment, I thought, was it getting too much even for Nihal? But this rook c8 was the game-changing moment. And suddenly, the game changed around. It was suddenly reversed. The hunted became the hunter. And then he just played so calmly in this position, He didn't panic. He just played moves like rook to g1. Such accurate, precise moves. With just 8 seconds remaining, 12 seconds remaining, he took 3 seconds, he played rook g1, understanding that he was just killing all of white's counterplay with his move, and he's going to move this pawn in the next 3 moves. I wouldn't have been able to do this with black.
Yeah, this game has been a masterclass in handling Armageddon with black.
Absolutely, and he was just
dominant.
He just handled the pressure.
Yeah, he handled it so well, especially, and getting black once again, despite losing the fourth match, which actually changed the score, which actually equalized the score, and getting under the pressure with black once again with such less time on the clock. At one point, there was a, I don't know, there was a 6 minute difference. He had 2 minutes as compared to Rauf having eight and having a fantastic position on the board, and then he just sold it around. It was amazing.
Yeah, I think the first turning point was around this point. Queen c3 check, Queen c3, and yeah, this was the point. Queen d6. Here, White had to play really precisely, and Roth, I think, started messing up from here. The line he played with Queen c3 and Queen into c4, the position instantly became equal. I'm not sure what was the best way to play here, but maybe this Rook e6, which you suggested, was fine because this variation we saw.
But this is difficult to see spot from that far ahead.
Yeah, but he had 9 minutes, and I think this was a spot where he had to spend like 2-3 minutes of his time and try to find the precise way. Because again, I know this from experience. No matter how less time Nihal has, you can't count on flagging him. At least not. And then we have the standings, the knockout tree. Kramnik winning his match 3-0. Dinglish coming back after his first game loss. And he has advanced to the next stage. And Nihal Sarin with that 3-2 win will set up a clash against Vladimir Kramnik in the next round.
Yeah.
Right. And we have the man of the moment, the boy of the moment, Nihal Sarin, who has just joined us. Congratulations, Nihal.
Thank you.
What a
Sorry? Okay.
Soumya.
What a dominant performance, Nihal. We loved watching your match today. You were totally in control in the first three games, and also, even though the fourth game didn't work out, you came back so strongly in the Armageddon, with such less time on the clock. What are your thoughts right now?
Yeah, I think first three games I did manage to play quite well. I missed, I was quite annoyed when I saw that in the third game I could have just taken Rook G4, King E4 and actually wins. I could have ended the match right there. But
when did you see that? Did you see that during the game or after the game?
No. After the game. I was just having a break and suddenly it popped into my mind that this might win, and I checked with engine and it does win.
Right, but it's incredibly hard to find that with 10 seconds, no?
Seconds. Yeah, with 5 seconds.
It's so against the runoff play because you were kind of calculating all the pawning games to be draw, and then suddenly somehow this works.
Right. I think the only way I could have played it okay, enough. I'm done trying draw. Then take King E4. Then you suddenly see that it wins.
Exactly.
Thank you. But yeah, fourth game I just blundered that he can play Rook F1 and he always has this Knight G7 tactic even after queens are traded. And yeah, Armageddon, I have to say I was extremely fortunate. I was so busted on clock position. Everything was completely terrible. But once I got like King G7, Queen F6, then I thought, okay, I have a chance. Then he went this Rook E7. Then it's just he just
Nihal, when you played that end game and you had just 20 seconds remaining, what did you feel optimistic around that point? Because I can imagine that 90% of people would have got flagged there as black.
Then I had 20. Yeah, firstly I was stupid that there was just Rook C2 and mate instead of Rook C1.
1 second. Sorry, I think the screen needs to be changed. We are not on the screen right now, so audience can't see.
We are on the screen. We are on the screen.
Okay, there we are. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Yes, please go ahead,
Yeah.
Nihal. Sorry.
Yeah, so like, no, first, of course, I saw rook c2 mating idea. That was the idea of rook c8. Like, somehow I hallucinated that maybe I was calculating even before white went rook b7. Rook b7, rook c8. I had seen this idea. But like, somehow I hallucinated that white is getting the rook to g1. I don't know how.
Wow, that's a
What when the rook was on b7, you saw that white could get the rook to g1.
yeah. Nihal kind of calculated one extra move for white.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understood. Okay.
Then I thought, okay, if I play rook c1, like, I can just force the draw and it's over.
Interesting.
But yeah, I played like rook h6, rook c1, rook h2. Then I realized, okay, I messed up, but I was pretty confident that I'll win it with 20 seconds. It was scary, but I was pretty confident.
You had 16 seconds at this point, not 30.
No, 20, right? I think.
Yeah,
I think
but when you played rook c1, you had 16.6.
Rook c1,
And
right? Like, really?
instead of rook c2, yeah, you had 16 seconds after completing the move.
Oh.
And you had 12 seconds when you took f into g6. You had only 8 seconds when you played rook g1. Rook g1 was, I thought, a very important move, preventing all counterplay. And
Then
again, a lot of people would just play rook b.
Yeah, rook b3 a3. Yeah.
Yeah,
Then I would
rook b2 a2.
Then I would have most likely lost.
Yeah, because then again, suddenly there's some counterplay and
Yes.
you lose time.
No, fortunately, I saw this rook g1 move, and okay, then I started pre-moving quite well because f3 f2 he couldn't stop. Just some timely pre-moves, and yeah.
Right. And how was your experience bidding for the Armageddon? What were your thoughts when that was going on?
Yeah, I have never seen this before. It's quite interesting. I was not sure what to say. Like, in hindsight, maybe I should have gone for white against Rauf because he's not the kind of player who can play for a draw. But like, it's not like you choose the color. So how it works is like white has 15 minutes and both the players have to bid for black stem, and whoever's bid is lower gets black.
Yeah, so the logic is if you want to play white, it's a good idea to bid, make a high bid. Like let's say you bid for 14, and then there's a pretty high chance that you will end up getting white.
Yeah.
Did you strategize this before the match, or were you thinking what you should do if it gets to Armageddon?
No, before the match, I had no idea how this bidding works. I was just hoping it doesn't go to Armageddon.
Yeah,
and I did not know it was rapid also. I thought Armageddon is something like 5 versus 4. There I was pretty confident. But I didn't know it was 15. And where did I go wrong exactly? I'm sure I was like busted.
No, we were not sure about king f8 actually, because we thought the rook on g8 was the problem in the position, and when you go king f8, the rook on g8 is basically out of the game, right? So we were actually looking at moves like g6 or king d7, or someone in the chat also suggested king e7, rook e8, king f8. These options. So I mean, king f8 really took us by surprise because queen a3, it gets into this queen a3 check all the time, and the rooks are not connected.
No, it's just a terrible move. Like, no, initially I wanted to make g6 work, but g6, queen h6, I could not make it work. I could not quite make it work. Like king e7, queen g5.
Yeah, it is a very responsible decision, g6. You have to be sure.
With king f8, okay, if I had one more move, I wanted to play g5. I wanted to get like g5, king g7. But
right.
No, everything came too fast.
Right.
Yeah. This king e7 rook e8 seems very strong enough, very sensible and strong. Yeah, totally missed it.
Abhinav Gupta, I think, suggested it. We can definitely reward with him with a diamond membership for making a suggestion that even Nihal appreciates.
Indeed, indeed. So, Nihal, with this win, you set up a match against Kramnik. What are your thoughts on that?
We are very excited, by the way.
Yeah, it will be a very interesting match. And
have you played against Kramnik before, or it's your first time you'll face him over the board? Sorry, is this an awkward question to ask?
No. He just got distracted by another question on his DM. Yeah, Soumya asked if you have played Kramnik before.
Kramnik? No, never.
Never?
No.
Nice. And you also had these camps in 2020, I think, right?
No, he wasn't part of that.
You weren't a part of it. Okay.
No.
Interesting. So we are very excited for your match, Nihal.
Yeah, I'm also very excited. It will be a great experience for sure.
Absolutely. And do you have any more questions, Soumya, or the chat? Do you have any more questions?
No, I think we are done for now. And thank you so much, Nihal, for joining us despite being tired. I'm sure you must have prepared before the match as well. And the match itself was so thrilling. So thank you so much. And we got to know a lot about your thoughts. And wish you the best for your round 2 match against Vladimir Kramnik.
And a big congratulations. It was amazing seeing you play some fantastic games. And the last game in Armageddon was such a brilliant display of play under pressure.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Yeah, bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
that
was Nihal Sarin. Sorry, Soumya.
You take it ahead.
So that was Nihal Sarin after such a fantastic display. And once again, he qualifies to the next stage, the round of 32, and sets up a clash against Vladimir Kramnik.
So yeah,
Soumya. Yeah.
To our chat, thank you so much for joining us. Round 2 will happen between 22nd to 27th of September. Meanwhile, round 1 still goes on. This was only one of the groups today that played. Tomorrow we have 5 times world champion Viswanathan Anand playing against Pavel Pankratov, and also Vasilin Topalov, former world champion, play against Ronak Sadhwani. So 2 delicious matches lined up for tomorrow. So do join us at 4:30 p.m. Once again, tomorrow chat. You don't want to miss this. I know I don't. And today's match was total paisa vasool. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot from it. And it was so thrilling in the end. I think my heart was beating faster than Nihal's for sure. That much I can guarantee. But so proud of how he managed to sail through, and definitely so nice of him to join as well. This was a great day, I think.
Absolutely. A great day and a lot of things to look forward to. A number of insanely interesting matches coming up. So stay tuned for that chat. Once again, do hit that like button, and so more people can tune in, and you tune in for the matches tomorrow as well. A big thank you to the chat for staying with us through the whole match. Thank you so much, Soumya. It was wonderful to have you back after such a long time.
Yes, same here, Shri. I totally enjoyed all the banter, all the conversations, and all the chess today. Looking forward to tomorrow with a lot of excitement. Thank you, chat, for joining us, and everybody who has won the diamond membership. We will contact you soon with how to claim it from Rakesh Bhai. Do join us tomorrow. Have a nice evening. Bye bye.